learning. You know, you got it recorded? All right, I am gonna be calling Village Board of Trustees meeting of September 25th, 2023 to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Bratton.
Here.
Trustee Brunner.
Here.
Trustee Brookhart. Here. Trustee Borland.
Here.
Trustee Palmkowski.
Here.
Trustee Elevator. Here. President Langfeld.
Here. Please stand for a pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're at public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the village board on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes while the village board encourages input from residents that may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda. So we'll start with Dana.
Good evening. It's great to see everyone. Thank you again for the opportunity to come before you and give you an update on the school district. A new school year is underway and we've had a really, really nice start. So I'm excited to be here today. Brian, thank you so much for it. So yeah, go ahead. So tonight I'm going to share some data and some information with you on the following topics there. I want to start first with enrollment. So as you can see, keep scrolling. Yeah, there we go. We welcomed a little more than 7,000 students into our 11 schools on September 1st. You can see over the past 5 years, our enrollment is actually trending down and continues to do so. We attribute a couple of factors to that. Number one, our housing market continues to be really challenging, especially for people with young families. They're often priced out of our community. So I'm really happy to know there are about 11 different subdivisions that are in different stages of development through our district. And we're hopeful that over time, that will yield some more school-aged children. Our middle schools are pretty consistent in their enrollment. Our high school is a little bit down. We graduated our largest graduating class last year, and we are seeing our smallest kindergarten class ever. So you kind of see over time our enrollment is trending down, but hopefully we'll see that turn around in the coming years. You can see some information there about our students. Our beautifully diverse students. We now have 65 different languages spoken in the homes of our families. Last year, that number was 50. And so and more newcomers also. So children who don't speak any English. So this has been a need that we're trying to address with more bilingual staff in all our facilities. You can see some other demographic information there about our kids. As a system, we're really focusing on 3 strategic priorities. First is literacy, in particular reading achievement for our students. We are in a very competitive labor market here in Dane County, so retention and attraction of staff across all of our employee groups remains a priority. I'm happy to report, and I do knock on wood every day, we are fully staffed, and we started our year fully staffed, including bus drivers. I hate to even say this out loud, but we have more drivers than we have routes right now. And so that has been, I think, a big reason why our school year start has been so great. Our new high school has 2 cafeterias. Last year, we weren't able to open one of our cafeterias because we couldn't find enough food service staff. This year, we're fully staffed. And so I'm really thankful for that. And then thirdly, just making sure that everyone in our community knows what's happening in our schools and has an opportunity to give us feedback. We've long, prided ourselves on the number of opportunities that we provide to our students. At the middle school level and the high school level, you can see how many different clubs and activities that we offer. Whenever I meet a kid and he tells me or she tells me that they're not involved in anything, I sit them down and want to have a conversation because we really do have something for everyone. You all are well aware our staff are incredible. Anytime I can put a picture of Peanuts in front of people, I'm going to do that. He heads to Las Vegas in November. He was runner-up for National Custodian of the Year. We still think we should have been number one. You can see we're a large employer. We employ 1,155 people in certified and non-certified staff categories. We compare ourselves to all other systems in Dane County. You can keep sliding there, Brian. And here are some statistics I think just show that we put our resources closest to kids. So there are 16 school districts in Dane County. They're all amazing. And like I said, we compare ourselves a lot to them. So when it comes to staff to student ratios, when it comes to certified staff, those are classroom teachers, guidance counselors, anyone who has a license to work in our buildings, we rank 10th out of 16 when it comes to that ratio. Non-certified staff, that's teacher aides, custodians, all those support personnel, we rank 5th out of the 16 Dane County school districts. And then administrator to student ratio, oftentimes people perceive that we are top heavy or administrator heavy. Actually, we rank 13 out of 16 when it comes to administrator to student ratio. So it really shows that we're putting our resources closest to our children in our schools. We did a lot of hiring over the summertime, and we had to get really creative to get fully staffed. Things like come drive a bus event. We own our own bus company. We opened our bus company and said, hey, have you ever wondered what it would feel like to sit behind the wheel of a bus? I didn't think people would come, but they did. We had lots of people come, and we were able to hire folks right there on the spot. We also held some open interviews in the evenings and just said, hey, if you ever thought about working for our school system in any capacity, come and talk to us. And a lot of people came. So I'm really thankful to the people who work in our HR department because they were creative and it really worked. Leadership longevity is really important. I'm happy to report that we had no turnover in principal position, assistant principal position, and we only had one district level leader position turnover. And we welcomed Mr. Tony Duga, who's our new director of student, family, and staff engagement. So we're stable in leadership, and we're thankful for that. Our buildings and grounds crews were really busy over the summer. You can see a list there of some of the projects that they were in charge of. Our buildings are unbelievably clean. They are secure. And there are some photographs there. I think Glacier Creek was the beneficiary of lots of new windows over the summer. The top left picture is of some of those windows. So because of the successful referendum last fall, we're able to keep up with all of these projects, and we're thankful for that. Some legislative updates of note. We're happy that this year's biennial budget does include additional state funding, $325 per pupil this year and next year. And Governor Evers has put that in the budget now for the next 400 years or until we think the Republican governor is elected. That really helps. However, we're still facing significant rates of inflation, and therefore public schools continue to see a structural deficit. So even though we are seeing additional funding, we still need to be really fiscally responsible and efficient. The state of Wisconsin also passed a literacy bill, and they're getting very serious about being more prescriptive with what resources we can use for reading, what screening materials we can use, and what kind of training our teachers have to have. More details are supposed to come to schools by January, so maybe the next time I'm in front of you, we can give you more details about that. We're very supportive that the state is putting some monies and some resources in literacy. Our new football stadium is open. We've had 2 home football games. If you haven't been over to the stadium, please come. I'd also love to give anyone a tour if anyone would like one. Fundraising continues to finish that second story of that project. Also, in 2018, that referendum project, the one that built Pope Farm Elementary and also all the upgrades to the high school, that referendum earned us some money in interest over time, about a little more than $6 million. That money can only be used for ongoing projects at the high school or to be put into debt service. Our school board at the last school board meeting approved some pretty significant athletic upgrades. So our tennis courts, which have not been resurfaced in a very long time, are going to be resurfaced. Our baseball field is going to get some upgrades. Right now, our girls softball team has to play off-site on Airport Road. We are actually now going to be able to construct a competition softball diamond on the high school campus, right behind the baseball field, which has been a long-term gender equity issue, and we're happy that we're able to do that in the near future. Our district continues to receive all kinds of accolades from a variety of different sources. Most recently, U.S. News and World Report ranked Middleton High School the #1 high school in Dane County, the #10 high school in the state of Wisconsin. And that is because of our staff, our families, our kids. We just have all the ingredients to be a really successful school system. I like to remind people all the time that we live, learn, and work in a context of abundance, and we have so much to be grateful for. There are some things there that we are thankful for, and thankful for community partners like all of you. So that is my update, and I would welcome any comments or questions that you might have for me.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
I was reading that article in the paper last
Yeah.
week, and it said that the tax rate was projected to go down, but then in like 2 paragraphs later, it said for your house, that would go up. I think it was like gave it an example, and I'm like, well, okay, if the tax rate goes down, how did your taxes go up?
I have to see that article in front of me to be able to answer, but our budget process is culminating here in the next couple of months. We set the mill rate at the end of October. And so then the paper should be able to give exact.
Yeah, I knew it was
Yep.
just kind of.
Yep, but you know, we're always looking at how we can be fiscally responsible. We think about the mill rate, because we know that's important for our families. And those calculations are pretty complex and tricky.
Yes.
But
I didn't know if it was like kind of whoever wrote the article was confused about some calculations. or something that was-
could potentially be,
Yeah.
but our budget gets finalized by our board at the end of October, and then all that information will be finalized. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Would you know how many kids were in that biggest class?
Biggest class that graduated last year,
Yeah.
667 was what we graduated last year. Our incoming 9th grade class is a little bit smaller. So last year, our high school, we are the largest high school in the state of Wisconsin. Cromery is the largest middle school in the state of Wisconsin. So last year at the high school, we were around 2,400. Now we're right around 2,300 because our 9th grade class is a little bit smaller than the graduating class. That.
Anything else? Well, thank you for coming tonight.
Yeah. thanks for
Appreciate you
having me.
taking the
Really
time.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Paulette. There she is. Hiding behind there.
Here.
All right.
Well, thank you as well for allowing me the time to do some reviews. Since you have some of this information, I thought I'd go over a little bit more detail specific to the village of Cross Plains. So you can read all these numbers. Obviously, we're trending back upward through COVID. Some of the meals and things went down, and now especially since we are catering with Piggly Wiggly, our numbers are starting to increase. So one of the biggest challenges for the rest of 2023 as well as 2024 is because of that increase. Our contract with the county will probably exceed, and so we'll really have to put some fundraising efforts towards meals. Because we definitely don't want to stop any meal programs or cap at the numbers that the county pays for. So we're averaging right now about 800 per month, and our contract is about 765. So if that continues to creep up, you can see where we're at for meals. And the other biggest difference with the meal program is that Northwest Dean holds the contract now with Piggly Wiggly. So in the past, the county held the contracts with the caterers. We're one of the few senior centers that now holds our own contract. So we're considered like our own restaurant site or caterer. And so we really can work more closely with Tommy, share all the staff there, get a little more creative on our menus, the likes and dislikes. So that is significant for our area. Northwest Dean did that when I first started 10.5 years ago. And then when we lost Foodies, we ended up going to Dane County Consolidated Foods. So now we're back to having our own contract with the pig. So with that being said, very specific to the village of Cross Plains, you're averaging about 20 to 45 meals on average, 32.5 meals a week. So 130 meals a month, and calculating that times the cost of the meal. At about $15. Now, when I say $15, that includes the food cost, but that's also all of our costs included in that. So the staffing, the building, the supplies that we need to package it, et cetera, et cetera. So just for meals alone in the village of Cross Plains is roughly $24,086.40 annually. So that's one of our bigger, actually, the town of Cross Plains is pretty significant too, right now. So we've definitely seen a little step up in this area, and I'm kind of thinking that's maybe the big. They're liking the food and they're hearing from their friends, right? So some more specific numbers that, we're averaging just case management alone, which includes all of the Medicare D reviews. So about 30 reviews annually are conducted, for clients, in the village. We're doing about 60 hours of the state health insurance program assistance on a regular basis. Housing, typically on average, we're doing about 5 clients a year with housing. So finding them low income housing, different apartments, maybe they're downsizing from a home, trying to find something, and then some people that are in some homes that really need some work and some TLC. And Brian and I are working on one a little bit currently, and those can be very, very challenging. These folks, you really have to trust people, and it takes a long time. As much as we want it fixed, maybe quicker than they want it, they just have to earn that trust. So it's baby steps sometimes to even get through the door. They don't want you to see what's inside sometimes, and that's very hard. Our mental health program, we're dealing with a lot of hoarding issues. So countywide that has increased. So hoarding has been a significant concern, and that too is very time consuming and can be very expensive. And if we don't get them the proper help, we spend all the dollars to help them with the hoarding problem, and very soon it's right back to where it was. So it's such a double-edged sword there to make sure we're getting the proper people in place that they can trust that will help them. About 5 participants regularly are using our transportation company and RSVP, so all the medical rides. The medical rides are taking a lot of time lately. They're very complicated. People are going from one doctor to the other and trying to do multiple appointments so they don't have to go 3 times a week. And then trying to schedule their appointments has been very hard. Anyone that's had to do that for themselves knows some of these appointments are months out, and these people, they don't want to wait months, and they get very nervous and very worried that they can't see their doctor for maybe 6 months. And then we have 3 supportive home chore clients. So we still have the supportive home chore program. Northwest Dane employs 2 employees that go and do cleaning, housekeeping, things like that. So there's 3 right here in the village that are receiving that service. And then our durable medical goods, about 3 people on a regular basis, if not weekly, are getting durable medical goods. So walkers, wheelchairs, shower benches, things like that. So those all come out to where I'm coming up with about 375 hours per year of just our case management. So of our total budget, you can kind of see then where you fit in with the 9 municipalities. It would seem that you're having the most clients. So our client, we carry about 22 clients from the village on a regular basis, give or take a few. So those are clients that are actually connected with the case manager. So they're getting case managed services on a regular basis. Now they can come off of that list. And of course some do, obviously, for lots of reasons. But that just kind of gets a little bit more detail of the nitty gritty of what the case manager, and obviously staff are doing a lot of other things. We have the adult day program, we have Sunny Seconds. That's been a huge community resource. We're definitely, every day we see people that are learning more about us, donating to us or shopping with us. So that's great. So the case managed clients of 110 total clients is getting to the point where that's probably if it gets too much higher, I'm going to need another case manager. It's really tough to do quality with that many people if it just keeps going up, which it will if we take a percentage of 3% of our population is typically how they figure that out. That's how that keeps climbing up because our population keeps aging. So luckily we do have some really dedicated staff, volunteers. We couldn't do it without the great volunteers. We're on board. We have right now 69 volunteers. Those volunteers get us through every day, getting 3 to 4 of them going out to deliver all those meals. And then ones that just come to the site and others just help us with other little things too, that might be some maintenance-y work or something like that, that someone may come in and do. The transportation coordination, you can see, you know, almost 30,000 miles, and that does include some of the meal delivery, but with our district being 192 square miles, that's how we're accumulating so many miles so quickly to get meals to people. And then, of course, many of you are well aware that we're still partnering with you and Mike in the Park and Rec department. That's going very well. I'm excited to work with Jill and the new staff. We've met a couple times already to enhance some of our intergenerational programming once again, as well as working with the library on bringing back some of the programs that we brainstormed, but like the memory things that we used to do and things like that. So we're very excited in even late 2023, possibly partnering differently with the Oak Box. If you know about the overdose administration kits and things like that, that I can partner with them because there's some grants through our district and meeting with the EMS just the other day on doing some blood pressure clinics and things like that. Right at the EMS would come right to us at Northwest Dane during bingo or a exercise program to do some services like that. So that's some of the newer things that we're rolling out for late 2023 and 2024. Obviously, when we look at the 2024 ask and we know everybody's struggling financially, but the increased expenses just to keep the operations going, we have not increased our ask in 4 years. And so that is hence where we're coming up with the new ask of $7 per capita. We just at the rate to continue, just even with our electric bills, our water bills, all of that just adding up. We've got to do something and try to keep our staff as well and competitive wages. We don't have benefits, so we have to do some sort of competitive wage because they have to go out and do benefits if they need them. So that is one of our challenges, if people can make that same salary and then get benefits. So for our staff, we have to try to do the best we can to keep them happy and because they definitely make a difference in so many people's lives. We just got done with our golf outing on Friday, so that was a great event that was partnered with the Chamber of Commerce. And we just will continue to do some of our other fundraising events. So as you can see, our county contract it's not signed and approved, but it is slightly higher than that for 2024. The municipality asked of last year, the total ask being the 78,000, but we received 65,454. And then all of the other funding comes from, and then this is the hard part for Northwest Dane, is it can be challenging because there's no guarantee. That's the challenge. When we have to do the budget, such a big chunk of our budget is not guaranteed. So all of that comes from grants, donations, fundraising, and then our adult day program, which is our fee for service. So that is our only service that actually clients pay for. So those other like case management, meal programs, those are all based on donations. So any questions, concerns?
Anybody have any questions? Well, your ask is later on in the budget, so
Okay,
it's a supplement at the end.
I
So
saw
you-
that on your agenda.
Yeah,
so.
okay, just. wanted
But
to-
I just wanted to be able to tell you why the board has decided.
we
it's going
appreciate
to
it.
Increase that, so,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, well, if there's no questions, thank you.
you bet.
Appreciate you coming in.
Sure.
All right, do we have anybody else that would like to make comments during public comment? Is there anybody on the internet that would like to do that?
No hands raised.
All right, we will go to the consent agenda. Upon request of any trustee, any item may be removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration under general business. Does anybody have anything they'd like to remove from the consent agenda?
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right,
I'll second.
do I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed, same. So moved. I will go to village report. I have nothing that's not on the agenda today. Vice President?
Yes, I'd like to congratulate Renee Bratton for 35 years of service on September 6th. And Jerry Gray for 30 years on October 4th. Thank you guys for your hard
Very
service.
nice. Right, other trustee reports? Cameron?
I have a couple things from public safety. Number one, last week during our meeting, just kind of a sobering event that I thought should be shared a little wider. We had a resident in August who got stung by a bee, and then they were, and it doesn't sound like an emergency, but they were severely allergic. They, by the time officers and EMTs got there, they were not breathing, had no pulse. That person was at the meeting last week and they were in good health and everything was great, because of our officers and our EMTs who responded and did life-saving CPR and everything else and got them transported to a hospital and everything. It was really sobering just to listen to Chief Tony and Chief Tabitha Smith talk about like the odds, how many times they've come across scenes of people in similar states and then they don't make it. And so Chief Tony did award life-saving awards to his officers, Matt Hudson and Nicole Kimball, and then Chief Tabitha Smith gave life-saving awards to her EMTs Jordan Zimmerman and Joseph Clark. Just thought that was worth sharing and just, it made, again, everyone in the community should know that we have heroes here who are kind of looking out for us and taking care of us, so that was good. And then the second thing from public safety is we are looking for topics from the community. So if anyone in the community or board members, if you're hearing anything from anyone that you'd like public safety to kind of take up and look into, please email me or Chief Tony.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else? Sarah?
For the library board, Jane Barda has resigned and Jennifer Wongpro has taken over as president. And so now we are looking for a town of Berry representative, so if anyone knows anyone, pass on the name.
Thank you. Anybody else? All righty, village administrator, Brian?
Okay, I followed up with the Wisconsin Emergency Management on the status of the flood mitigation grant, and I was provided an update that FEMA at the present time is operating under an immediate needs funding order due to the status of the federal spending and federal appropriations budget scenario. So right now, they're awaiting additional congressional action before anything gets funded for the program that our grant is sitting in for approval. So it's kind of a wait and see right now. I'll provide updates as I learn more.
All right, thank you. Village heads. Anybody like to say anything? Chief?
Just real quick, I have three things, just wanted to update you guys on our hiring processes. We narrowed it down to 3 qualified people for the full-time position. It's now been narrowed down to 2, so we're doing backgrounds on that. We also have a couple of good part-time applicants for a part-time position, which we're starting that process now. I also want to mention, we did a post recently on school bus violations. We're getting kind of a little bit of an uptick on that, so if you guys can look at the post, share it, help me spread the word. We're not getting a lot in town, but it's starting to kind of pick up. And then the other thing, just want to let you guys know that the Public Safety Committee is proactively looking for safety things to deal with. Right now, we're kind of in a lull. We haven't had much to discuss lately, so we really ask that you guys, if you see anything, hear of anything, we've encouraged fire and EMS to both kind of get involved with that as well, just to give us some work. We want to stay active and not fall behind again like we did before. So that's it.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, we'll go to general business.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're good.
Keep going.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right, general business number 1, discussion. Village of Cross Plains budgetary support request for Blackbird Creek monitoring station. Is there one of you guys presenting on that, or Brian's taking it?
Yeah,
We-
will present on that.
Yeah.
That's right. And it's got a, do you want the presentation down there, Brian?
I've got it up here. I'll put it up on the screen.
Okay, all right.
the,
That's the, I think this is an updated version. If we could use that one, is that possible?
We can definitely try. I don't know how that interferes with being broadcast and recorded and whether or not they'll be able to see that, but
Like, if you guys could email it to him quick.
Yeah.
Maybe the best that.
You just want the PDF.
yeah, that would be fine.
All right, they just forwarded the change, so it should. Show up in-
How much? Doesn't look like it's come through. How much different is it from the one we have?
It added 3 or 4 slides, just a little bit more background information. Yeah, I guess if it doesn't come through in the next minute or so, I think probably is about it.
Why don't we just go ahead and if it comes through, we can look at the last 3.
That's technology.
There we
Right.
All right, well, good evening. Appreciate you guys having us here and taking your time to consider this important issue. My name is Nick Bauer, environmental engineer with the Capital Area RPC, the lead on this project for our side.
And not to be confused, my name is Nick Buer and I work for the U.S. Geological Survey as a hydrologist, and I've been working in Blackbird Creek watershed for like the last 10 or 12 years. So yeah, don't get away.
To Nick B, there's different lines here, so. So this is the Blackbird Creek History Monitoring Program. This was really kind of the ask here tonight on the USGS monitoring program is sort of born out of discussions at the steering committee for the green infrastructure plan. That's this document you see here. Great document, encourage you all to read it, be familiar with it if you haven't already. But we'll move on quickly to the issue at hand here. Part of that project also carrying over to this current monitoring program and the request. You saw all the different partners there on the previous slide. Then just a quick, pretty pictures are always good on presentations. So this is kind of some of the green infrastructure practice that, that plan was getting at. So getting into the nuts and bolts of this thing, the USGS Spring Monitoring Program So the watershed map on the right, you can kind of see the two green, the orange and the white circles. Those are representing 4 monitoring locations within the Black Earth Creek watershed. So there's some existing monitoring going on. Funding's running out or ending very soon here. Trying to, get funding to continue this program moving forward. The bullet points there on the left, just kind of going over some of the high level benefits of what this monitoring can do for us. Add anything there, Nick?
Yeah, so originally this project has gone through various phases over the years. Starting with fish kills, DNR, and before that temperature modeling on the creeks. And then going to the village taking over funding that for their permitting process for the water treatment plant. Now that project is done, there's been a need there's several cooperators in the area have seen a need to continue monitoring, partially because the things that we get out of it, the different types of data, so water quality and quantity monitoring. What we can see and help with the fisheries, the impacts of the fisheries. When there's pollutant loads running downstream and we have issues with temperatures or nutrients or things like that. Some of the sediment data, and then also kind of some of the upcoming things that are happening in the watershed, which is urbanization. All the villages are growing, the towns are growing, and how that's going to change runoff within the watershed and change the creek and what we do about it.
So here's some nice pictures of the beautiful creek we have running through your backyard. Pretty sure the photo on the top left, that's actually Brian out there, I think.
I wish.
But basically, this is a terrific creek, beautiful water resource we have. We want to protect it. There's lots of different things going on around the village and throughout the county and the watershed, kind of, with some of a focal point on this creek itself. So I think you guys are probably familiar with a lot of these things here listed there. And one of the big, maybe important piece here too, is it's not just about a pretty body of water, there's economic value. This is a class 1 trout stream that does bring, fishermen and economic value into the whole region. There's been a lot of historical investments in the creek, in the watershed, for a number of years. Obviously, that's a lot of money. You can do the math there already, but that's good for the creek. But to continue moving forward and keep this resource as the highly prized resource that it is, it requires continual maintenance and monitoring and money moving forward. So monitoring, it's a tool that we use to inform action. The graphic on the left, really the takeaway to that is, and maybe you've seen this before, but with climate change, it's getting warmer. Wisconsin here gonna be warmer weather, seasons throughout the year. That potentially catastrophically can lead to the picture there in the bottom center. That's from the 2018 historic floods there. And then just with the fisheries, obviously that's a fairly obvious, focal point of why we want to protect this area here. Some of the current challenges that the creek faces, and they kind of mentioned some of this already, but there's pollution inputs from different runoff, urban and rural runoff sources. The low dissolved oxygen, which can lead to fish kills. Temperature, high temperatures bad for cold water fish, including trout. And then flooding, like I said in that last picture, that's obviously a big concern, that if you can be monitoring the stream as things are happening early on, that gives you that much more warning and knowledge and better data to make better decisions.
I want to interrupt here. One last bullet point that's missing out the end of that is land use changes. And that kind of ties all of these together, because as I was saying earlier, the area is growing and things are changing a lot. So we're seeing more or less cows on fields. So that changes pollution inputs, or not pollution inputs, but it changes what's coming in from the runoff. And then as you get more urbanization, we've got more hard surfaces, so that's gonna change what the runoff is looking like into the creek too. So you might have temperature going up, you might have more sediment going into the creek, things like that. That can really change the dynamics of the creek and how it interacts with all the things that live in there. And water quality.
So monitoring identifies problems. This is a graphic. This is actually the background data there is pulled from the USGS website with a few markups. Basically what this is showing is that the DO, the dissolved oxygen, is going up and down, cycling basically daily. But maybe the piece to focus in on is that heavy horizontal line through the center with the brighter green. That's denoting the 6 milligrams per liter threshold for trout for water quality. Other snapshots from the USGS data that's posted online through the monitoring that's done. Just kind of give you a taste of what that data looks like on the back end.
That's the last slide.
Right, that's it then. Obviously, take any questions if you have them.
Yeah, I do. I'm looking at, and we're gonna be talking about it later, obviously, just, on voting on it, but the question that's not clear to me is you have it broken down on how many samples are tested. 96, I think, is the number. What's not clear to me is how many times does it come that you need to come out here to get those samples? Are you getting them 4 times a year at 25 each? Because I'm trying to figure out the cost to me is
Right.
how much time you spend monitoring the stream. So the question to me is, that seems to be what would be something that could look at bringing down the cost.
Right.
But I have no idea how many times you have to monitor or how many times you're doing it right now. I don't know what the 67,000 does or.
Yeah, so those 96 samples per site, that's kind of an estimate really, because a lot of the sampling we do is based on storms. So every time a storm comes through, it samples up and down as the water goes through. And so we're not sampling just like every 5 days or something like that. We're
Okay.
sampling what's coming through during a storm, and that's where we find most of the contaminants and most of the change happens in the creek. It's not during everyday flow when it's a beautiful sunny day. It's just kind of remains the same. And so we looked at doing that sort of thing where we would have like village staff help out by picking up samples before we initially started working with the village in this, and it was 2014.
Yeah.
It just didn't quite work out, and it still ends up being a lot of work on our side because we would get those samples, but we still have to split them up and write down all the data and get it to the state lab of hygiene or the Dane, Iowa lab. So there's still like a process that we need to go through to process the samples before they go to be tested for phosphorus or sediment or ammonia or anything like that. And that's just a small part of the monitoring we do. So the really big part is actually doing the discharge. So knowing how much water is going down the creek at any time. That's like the biggest part of it. And that's the backbone that we build everything else on. So when you know how much water is flowing down your creek and you sample for these nutrients, or you look at the dissolved oxygen or the temperature, you can kind of calculate how much it is and what effects are coming from upstream, what effects are coming from the village itself.
Yeah, I understand that, but
Yeah.
my question is, how many times is this? I don't understand from the cost that you estimated. Is that coming out here once a month to do that? Is it once a week?
However
Is
many
it,
times it storms, really. So there's we take a base flow sample once a month, which tells us what the base level is for the stream.
okay,
And then whenever it storms, so like this year, we barely had any rain, so we haven't come out that often. It's been like,
okay,
yeah, once a month, once every couple months, whenever we get a good storm, we have to come out right away and pick up the samples. But in other years, it's been really busy and we've gotten a lot of storms, so then we're out here sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. Just because a lot of this stuff is also time sensitive, so when it storms, we need to pick up the samples within a day.
Go ahead, if you want.
Thank you. Just to clarify, what you're seeing there are the automated, is the automated sample.
I'm right now,
Okay.
what I'm trying to do is give the board the information, so later on, when we talk about this request as a supplement income, expense, they understand what we're getting. I think it's very clear on what service is being provided. What I'm trying to figure out, is there any leeway in besides one option is the 3 monitoring stations, the other is to add a 4th one, right?
Yeah.
But I'm trying, it has the 67,000 on the one and 57,000 on the other, so I'm trying to figure out how you come up with that number.
Right.
In the winter time, there are no storms, right? In the sense,
Right, we're still monitoring some of the runoff, like the
Yeah.
spring runoff.
Sure.
Yeah, but there's still water quality data coming in, so we have our water quality instruments that are out there. Measuring dissolved oxygen, temperature, conductivity. And then also, we're still measuring how much water is moving through that given area.
okay. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead.
Just a little brief background on why the option 2 was chosen by the steering committee to present and pursue. Just if you look at the kind of total cost, option 1 versus 2, not that much more cost, but we're getting a whole nother wealth of information on water quality data from a 4th site that currently only has flow data. So just a lot more information for a, relatively minor additional cost. So there's that, the steering committee again just thought that was well worth that extra cost just to kind of get another rung of data inputs.
And can you tell me the breakdown of who else is putting money into this? I see the USGS is putting some money into it, and is Dane County putting money into it?
Yeah, we have a 25% cost share with USGS. Dane County has committed to $25,000 or
Yeah, about
$25,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carp C, we've committed to $8,500. Trout Unlimited has committed to a sum, and then there's several other municipalities who voiced, I don't want to say commitment, but they voiced support for this. We've yet to hear anything officially though, but we're trying to do this and get knowledge out and hopefully have lots of communities within the watershed join in the group effort to provide funding, knowing that, this does affect the whole watershed really.
Right. All right, anybody else? Michael?
I have a question. This goes back to what he was talking about with the sampling, like how that one thing showed the dissolved oxygen levels over versus it was asking about sampling. Is that, it's being done all the time, but does it get uploaded or do you have to physically go out there and like put a computer in? Like, does it make a phone call or something? And
No, that's one of the great things about all these sites, that they update regularly, so every hour, every couple hours. So you get real-time data, and then that changes when it's a storm, it will update more frequently. So all this data is available for public use, it's on our websites. There are actually, they've come out with a new website, I can't remember the name of it right now. It's a water data website, USGS water data website that I can send you the link to. But you can basically set up to get reports from it with your phone or with email. So if the water is rising or something like that, and you want to know when it gets to a certain point, it can send you a ping or a text message or something like that. When DO gets to a certain level, like if it drops too far, it can send you a note. If temperature gets too high, it can send you a message.
Because I think you were thinking they have to physically come out. and-
Well, some of the stuff, well, I'm just
Like
reading.
wondering, You know, because I think he was thinking that you do the.
No, you do, because the thing here is 96 samples maximum, and they send it to the Dane, Iowa lab. So that's literally taking a sample,
Right.
up to 96 of them, they literally take, I think the automatic monitoring can be for some things. But they can't do everything, so they actually take
Okay,
these,
so those
for
are.
this money includes up to maximum 96 samples. That they literally take to a lab,
Okay.
so they have to come and get.
Yeah,
And
that's
that-
one portion, there's kind of three parts to it.
Okay, that's where I was.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming.
And all those 96 samples, you do much more testing for other things, these things aren't looking for, I'm assuming.
Right,
You're
things that we
looking for-
can't get through our stuff that's going in real time. But from that, we build how much loading, so how much sediment is coming down the stream, how much phosphorus is coming down the stream. How much ammonia is coming down the stream. We were able to track an ammonia plume that came down and caused the fish kill last November. Because of our storm monitoring. And we give that data was used by the DNR later. But all sorts of things like that.
Okay, well, I was thinking.
No, yeah, no, that's good clarification. Anybody else have anything? Well, Nick and Nick, thank you very much for coming and presenting.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Right, discussion and possible action, village assessment services proposal. Is there anybody here? No? Well, I guess, then should we just wait for it to come up on the budget part of it? All right. We'll go to 3, discussion and possible action, Lake Ridge Bank Murrah. See, we have, why don't you come on up, join us? All right, do you want to just give a quick overview, please?
Yeah, if you could pull up the design, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm Ally with Sire Studio, here with Scott from Lake Ridge Bank. So what you're looking at right there is 1205 Main Street. It's a Lake Ridge Bank location here in Cross Plains. The building currently has 1 ground sign and it used to have 2 wall signs. And we removed one of the wall signs during the rebrand and only removed 2 wall signs and only reinstalled 1 of the wall signs during the rebrand. So on this wall, Lake Ridge Bank would be allowed a larger wall sign. And what we are proposing instead is this art mural here, because we felt that it covered the space a lot better and it was a more creative solution. So what we wanted to do there is, this wall here is 145 feet, so we wanted to fill it and propose this art mural because it was a creative solution for this blank space. We did explore that wall sign that I was talking about, but we still felt like it looked out of place. So we included the Lake Ridge Bank in the lower left instead of a larger wall sign. The mural is of high design and encompasses the village of Cross Plains, and it's a nod to, you know, the trout fishing that we were just discussing a little bit as well. And is going to be hand painted directly on the brick. And then it includes we've included city examples, like the village of Hayward has a sign similar to this, and other villages. It's becoming very trendy, and it's something that would fill up that wall, especially for your visitors that are it's a good welcome sign to the village of Cross Plains. And the design does not follow the art definition 100%. So we did go to the plan commission a couple of weeks ago and got really good support. And so that is why we're in front of you here today.
All right, does anybody have any questions? Wait,
Would you be open to adding the village logo to that?
I think so, if that was an
Just out
answer, yeah.
of curiosity.
here's no, here's the only thing that I'm gonna throw out there, and I'm not 100%. if we put a logo on there, is that gonna be
It's-
considered another sign? Which would mean there would be two signs on there, which would be in violation of our, sorry, I'm okay. I'm not opposed to it, I'm just saying that I'm not
I
sure if I'm interpreting.
I think based on the way the ordinances and the code is currently written, if you put another logo and a welcome to Cross Plains and a Village of Cross Plains logo on there, it becomes a village sign.
And I just wanna say the colors are really picked to, you know, flow together, and we could do a white logo though, but it might throw off the design a little bit.
Michael?
Well, I'm gonna say that I'm not sold that this is a mural or that it's art. This whole thing is a sign to me, and I'll explain why. Okay, and I listened to the planning commission meeting, how they said the bottom was the sign, the Lake Ridge Bank, and that the rest was considered art. But you look right in the middle there, underneath the L in the Cross Plains, that is a picture of the other Lake Ridge Bank branch building that's on the east side of town, yeah. And if you blow that up, it actually says Lake Ridge Bank on that building. So how is this art if you're putting a sign on a building that's making you think of their other branch? It's a commercial idea that's being presented, it isn't art. They are still marketing themselves inside of a space that is art. The colors are also marketing the mural or Lake Ridge Bank. They use the dark, if you look up in the corner up there, how it says, what does that say? You can't read it. It's here. Where it uses the colors up on that right-hand corner, and it says finishes. They use Pantone, it's 2145, and Pantone, whatever that is, 376. Those are the two exact same color markers that they use on their other signs in the village. Like in the corner, in that left-hand corner, their logo thing of those two waves up and down is white here. But if you look at other branches around the village, it's actually the lime color above a dark blue color on there. And they've incorporated that across the entire mural. So the entire mural is using the colors of the bank, which means basically the whole mural is now a sign because they're using those colors. If it makes you think of that institution, it isn't art any longer. It's a sign for commercial reasons. You can also argue that saying welcome to Cross Plains is incidentally a sign for Cross Plains because it's actually endorsing the village of Cross Plains, which means it's not art any longer. As soon as you start to have commercial endorsements of any institution, you can read the definition, use to advertise, identify, display, direct, or attract attention to an object, person, institution, organization, business, product, service, event, or location. Cross Plains can be considered a location. It's endorsing our location. They have the picture of the other building, it says Lake Ridge Bank on it, and it's using the colors of the bank. That's why I don't think this is art. I think it's a marketing wrapped inside a welcome sign. And that's my opinion on it.
All right, well, I'm gonna give you credit for sharp eyes. I did not see, but you're right, when I enlarge it, I do see that. I guess, would you be willing to get rid of that on there? Because I do think he makes a point on that it's a color is color. That one, I'm not gonna as much support, even though I'm sure those are the exact same colors, but I do think if it's a silhouette of the village, it shouldn't have.
It's referencing a very specific.
Yeah, it
building
is.
As you're marketing that village.
Yeah, and the other
buildings
ones-
and
the other ones aren't, so I guess I would certainly agree that I think that part should be removed.
I think we're open to that again, as you come into town where this is, it's truly looking into
No,
the village, obviously, but I don't think the name on that particular building is something that would change our idea here or our premise.
Okay.
I think changing the colors would certainly make a different statement here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would like to speak upon that a little bit too. Yes, there are some colors identified that are also in the Lake Ridge Bank logo, but there are many colors in here. Water is blue, so I don't know what other color we would use for that. Green is very outdoorsy, it's nature. yes, it is a little bit of the logo colors, but we incorporated many colors to nod to the waterway and to make that, the lower portion is all kind of that blue color, and we really incorporated those colors of, you know, to make it nature and to make it match. But again, like Scott said, we can take that Lakers Bank out of the building.
Other people's thoughts? Doug?
I just personally think it's an improvement. I think it looks nicer when you're driving into town to see a mural that lets people cross lanes. I know when I go to these other communities, I like the one in Middleton that's on the pizza place. You'll get people who visit and will take a picture in front of things like that. So I just look at what's there as a brick building, and then I see people on the other hand get involved in the cross lanes. So I think it's an improvement.
Cameron?
I agree
And
with,
Judy?
I agree with Doug, and I just, like, you know, I guess I wanna thank the bank for, you know, wanting to include us in the alternative, right? They could just put as big a sign as our, laws and stuff allowed for shop it, or, you know, put your money across, you know, the Lake Ridge Bank, and that, you know, that could get it. I'm a little appreciative that they're, you know, wanting to do something a little bigger and then wanting to include the community.
Judy?
I like it. My only question was the established date. Is it 1908? Or is it 2022? The Lake Ridge.
We're still on the same routing number, the same legal entity that was established in 1908.
Because I had a couple other people I submitted to, I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Go ahead, Cody.
So I would say, I like it, I think it's an improvement, but then after what Michael said, it was kind of. Like, I feel like you're trying to pull the art versus signage. But I think it looks great, like, I think it'd be cool to drive in, welcome to Crossplay. I haven't made up my mind yet, but. It is
Well,
kind of fun.
I just wanna, we brought it here to help Brian out, because technically this just goes to the administrator, then if he approves the permit, then it's there. If he doesn't, then they can appeal to us. So we thought, let's, instead of all the negative publicity and everything that comes along with it, let's have this discussion right now with it. So that's kind of how it is. It's not like we can necessarily approve it, but it gives Brian some direction on what our feelings are. So I just want to make sure everybody was clear on this. Go ahead.
Just kind of the second part I'd say is I don't see that bank building, I guess. I see it now after Michael mentioned it, but to me, if that's the apartment building, like what I think of when I enter Cross Plains on that side of town, I think of the Fescue Farm, I think of Crick. I always saw the Westview Apartments, now there's a bank there, and when I enter on this side, I think the cultural movement. And I think it's welcoming and a depiction of our community, which is what it's supposed to be.
No, I agree 100%. I disagree with Michael when you put the name on it. It does have some indication it's advertising. That's where I've got. Like I say, I didn't notice it when I looked at this, but if they're willing to just shade that all in just to be the building, then I'm just absolutely fine with it. And just so everybody knows that the plan commission meeting, Sonia, who's our village planner, she's the one that Michael referred to saying this meets it because the section that has their name and logo would meet the sign code. They could put that sign on with anything, and then the rest of it falls under the Merle zoning. So while it's merged together, Michael, I understand what you're saying. I think it would look odd to cut that out and have a little border there to make it look like a sign, and the rest being an art piece.
Well, right.
So I think it looks nicer like this.
Well, sure, I understand what you're saying, I just don't consider the rest of it to be a piece of art. I still
Okay.
consider the whole
Fair
entire
enough.
thing to be a sign is what I'm saying.
All right.
Just because of the limited color scheme, the building, everything I spoke about before.
Can we get a snowmobile in there somewhere?
It look a little odd in the summertime. So here's what I was thinking of. I think we can do kind of a straw vote. I'm a little nervous in trying to do approval Because that's outside of the process, so why should they need to get board approval? So I'm just gonna we'll just go around and give your views on a yay, nay. And then Brian can make his call, then we follow the process. So Cody, if you're still undecided, I can start on this side if you want.
I'm for it.
Okay, Sarah,
I am for it, but with that change to the building.
okay,
I'm for it. I'd like to see more fun stuff like this.
I'm for it, I'll just reiterate what I said before, it could be an ugly brick wall, or it can have a big, as big a sign as we allow that says, shop at the bank. Or it can do something like this that kind of brings a little bit of a mix of public and private, I like that.
Michael,
I think the whole entire thing is a sign, but we're talking about the building. I'd just love to have it completely removed, because I think it just reiterates that building at the end of the town. It's basically saying Lake Ridge Bank has this thing here, and we also have a branch at the other end of town. It's advertising their other branch, even the structural architecture of that. Even with the words removed, says our other branch exists in this town.
right,
It makes it a commercial product.
I think driving by 30 miles an hour, you're not gonna do that. I'm with Sarah, if you guys are willing to remove the lettering on that building, then just make that all a silhouette, I'm fine with it. You're comfortable, Brian?
Yep.
All righty, very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, here we go. Discussion and possible action regarding the 2024 capital improvement projects. If you remember last month when the police brought up their server and firewall, there was a number of questions. Can we combine the two servers? Can we just add to the current servers? So that's what we're doing right now. Let's start with A, Chief, if you don't mind. That's the server replacement. To answer those questions.
Sure, so I sent all of you an email to kind of just get your thoughts, and I didn't receive any responses, but basically, so the server, there are options to add to the server. It's just not recommended because of the multiple things. The processing, the video redaction, web links, and configuration. It's not recommended by our IT. So I took it even a step further because IT, obviously, they have the reasoning, but I took it even to Arbitrator. So Arbitrator is our system. And they said, don't do that. Keep it separate. If there's a reason for it, you might corrupt some files, and then now you've got video issues. I even took it even further and went to other departments, and they're like, no, we would never join our paper files with our video files, even though we probably could do it. We've never even thought of to explore that. So I'm bringing that to you. Now, you can do it, but it's just not recommended to do that. And so I'm just listening to the professionals, right? I took it outside of the IT professionals, but I mean, that's what I learned. Any questions with that?
All right, let's just stay on this, and then we'll make a motion. Okay, go ahead.
I just have a quick question. When you're doing the video work, do you have to actually physically be seated on that machine where all the hard drives are, or can they work on it from the remote laptop or desktop? You can do remote stuff.
Yep.
So you have a program that you load on the remote machine and it contacts that other computer.
So a lot of our work is sometimes, well, I'm gonna say 60-40, where they do remote work, because a lot of it is just remote stuff.
Like now you mean like in their car, or like you mean like in their
No,
office?
in our office, so they can remote from wherever they are. They have secured passwords and things like that to remote in to fix things. Yeah, it just depends, but we do use them on site, especially if that's to build things or change things or processes. The other question, and I don't know if you guys are gonna ask this question, but the other thing was whether we're protecting that information, and we are. It's there's 4 different removable pieces that kind of protect that stuff. So they're constantly updating. We only by state law have to maintain files for up to 120 days. We have extended ours to 180 days. And that's just to give us a little more time in case something slips through the crack. And that's part of our policy. So 180 days is maintained in these things, and then they just get kind of shuffled around. Those things are not, those hard drives, those things that are removable are not old yet. I mean, we just purchased a couple, and so I'm following their recommendations. Obviously, as we move into the new building and then we look at IT stuff, we really should consider looking at off-site stuff like cloud-based stuff. That's where everything's kind of going. This is not a cheap fix because it's $10,000, but it's a fix to make sure that we maintain those files. Because the last thing we want is for something to happen, you don't have access to those files, and then now we're in a lawsuit for open records, which Jay could tell you a lot more about that. Those things they could destroy the integrity of a police department in a matter of days.
Go ahead. Yeah, because I got your email and I read it and I was like, okay, these guys are all like saying don't mix the servers, but like with what you said and with how you're doing your file server, I think it easily be put on the same server, just buy a bunch more hard drive, you can isolate them. I mean, it's definitely doable, you know, I mean.
It's just not recommended.
Yeah, exactly. And with having the two disparate systems, I imagine someday they're going to combine anyway. It's gonna, you know, they're just not recommending it now for some reason. But when I was going out, because I found the old information on the Arboretor system when you had been buying it before, and on the website, it said that there is offsite cloud storage. Like you could buy that option with that system and not physically have a machine in your building. Like
It's
it was
very expensive.
Is that why we didn't go with that?
There's some, it would be much more expensive than this hard boxes that we have, obviously. But I think much more secure. The record management of it would go to them as well. Like if we had a record request where, I mean, we'd still have access to those cloud based, but they would process.
Oh, well, that's part of the expense.
Some of the agencies don't like to relinquish that either. Like they like to be able to control that, but I mean, a lot of people are going to cloud based. Everything's going to cloud based. I mean, it's just in the long run, it'd be cheaper. If we were really using up a lot of video, then it might be a lot cheaper to do that. But even our evidence things are all going cloud based. I mean, there's a lot of offers out there as far as that goes. So I think they'll make it more manageable as time goes on, because we're getting away from that hard box server to, you know, because you got other things, like for instance, we had the fan go out in that room. You got to keep that cool. I mean, those things can overheat really fast, and so we had to work on getting Jerry and you guys to come out and fix that. And I mean, it gets hot in there even with this huge fan to cool it down. So
And Kate is the destroyer of hard drives.
for sure.
All right, so, I guess, we should have a motion and go ahead with buying an independent server.
I will motion for the police department server replacement.
Second.
All right, I have a motion second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. All right, let's go to B, the firewall.
Well, that was brought up to me just recently. I mentioned it at the last meeting that the firewall basically protects the information. It's dated. It's kind of similar in with the server. It needs replacement. It's not a big ticket item, but it's something that it costs us a lot of money if somebody were to breach. Still doesn't mean someone can't breach us, right? I mean, big banks and stuff get breached, but this gives us protection from that, and we haven't had anything happen, knock on wood, but this is what our techs are needing to fix. And so it's about $3,200. That includes the cost of their time to actually make it happen, and then the quote that's included for that. So that's a late addition, and I just learned of it. It's not even had it last time.
I'll make the motion to approve the police department firewall replaced.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We move forward with the firewall. Any discussion?
Yes, go ahead.
Michael?
So your tech brought this up saying that you need to update this. Is like, what are you currently using? Are you using one?
Yeah, we're using the firewall. Every now and again, check something even remotely close to a virus, but I mean, yes. And sometimes it's actually kept things out that we need to bring in, like even IT stuff. It's very, very good, but he said it's at the end of life and we should think about replacing it So I put it as a number 2 because it's not like life or death, but it's something that needs to be done.
I mean, that's a huge threat right
Yeah,
now,
yes.
is with China and Russia trying to get into everybody.
Yeah.
So I don't think, it's a bad idea to have the best and most up-to-date protection of our information. We lose police information. That I'm sure will be some lawsuits coming from that, for sure. Go ahead, Michael.
Did he say how long this is good for, or is there like is there, so is this, so there isn't like a recurring cost every year? Like,
No,
does
this
this
is
buy
just-
5 years
Yeah,
worth
this
of,
will
like, of
support.
updates and all that stuff?
Most of this stuff what runs out is not the system, not the server, not the firewall, it's the support of it.
Okay.
And most of it is 5 years, even our tasers are a 5-year support for them. After that, you gotta buy extra, or you gotta start looking for new tasers.
So you have to actually buy the new physical chief of gun, is like what you're saying?
Yeah, or look to replace it, or just add, more insurance for it or whatever.
I'm gonna get one of those used tasers.
Well, Madison was thrown into that situation where they weren't supporting the tasers, so we had to go out and buy 150 of them. Expensive.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you.
Did you? Okay, that was under discussion. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. So moved.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, chief. All right, number 5, discussion and possible action, Village of Cross Plains Community Development Authority. What, blight finding? Oh, it seems like we voted on this so many times.
Honestly, I did.
All right.
So the CDA supported the blight determination. We completed the resolution there. It takes a formal village board resolution action tonight to push it forward to the formal paperwork process with the USDA.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the blight determination resolution.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. You gotta get quick. Any discussion? Cameron?
Someone give me the 2-minute rundown on what this is.
All right, what?
Yeah,
There's a definite, for us to get funding from USDA. There has to be a blight determination. So you go to your engineer and you go to this special law firm. And they give you the guidelines because they've done it a million times under state statute. They write this up. And it went through, we came here early, then I think we sent it to CDA. And now they approved it because they're the ones that are gonna be getting the money. So now it's gotta come back to us to do it in this resolution that CDA did it. And now we can forward it on to the process for USDA. And there's a lot of justifications for it. So that's where we're at right now. And hopefully this is the last time we have.
I think this is, I think it is.
All right, any other discussion? I know was that clear as mud, basically?
Yep.
Okay,
I guess I have one question.
go ahead.
If we vote and say this is blighted, can anybody else come back and say, no, it's not?
No,
That's-
because that was the first thing, we did the public hearing and we notified, the owner can challenge it.
Okay.
But the owner is us,
Right.
so we're not challenged, that's why it's been here once before, because. We have to still go through the process, if we would do one of the other lots in there. Then they could come in and challenge it, but generally you wouldn't do that unless someone was willing to do something with their property and they wanted assistance. We kind of, yeah,
How do you? Say that again.
so, if you remember, the butter factory.
Right.
Right, we got the same determination,
Right.
right? So then we were able to, the county. Took away all the tax liens, 50 grand. And that way developers could do the apartment building cheaper.
No, I understand that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I understand like what you're saying like that, it's just that nothing's ever been built here, that's why we're calling it blighted, but nothing's ever been here, like a butter.
Oh, no, it doesn't have to be,
You
it
gotta
doesn't have to
say-
be a building.
Well, but, I mean, it's still a green space, nothing's been built there yet, that's why.
Well, and that's one of the justifications.
because nothing's been built.
Yes.
But when and I'm not trying to throw a monkey wrench in it, but we did have somebody that wanted to buy it.
Yeah, that is
So
correct.
that's where I was like, how does that
Ah,
compute with
hey,
lighting, you know what I'm saying?
I was
Because it
very,
wasn't-
I agree with you, and I was very conservative, and I had a hard time understanding it. My definition is different than what state statute and what the government accepts.
Well, that's why I was asking, since we did have a potential buyer, would somebody come back and be like, no, this isn't blighted, somebody wanted to buy this land 3 years ago? That was my question.
We are told that that will not happen.
Okay, that was my one question.
Yeah.
What is the,
the
oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
I interrupted
Yeah.
Jay.
Go ahead,
What is the benefit to deeming it blighted? I mean, that's.
because then we can get access to the funding, the federal funding.
Like a lower interest rate.
Yeah, and longer term.
Yeah.
The program's set for redevelopment of properties and, you know, different properties qualify only if and when those determinations have been made for that redevelopment purpose.
I think this third paragraph is probably the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Slum clearance is my favorite term.
No, like I said, it's pretty broad. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same. All right, 6, discussion and possible action regarding the purchasing policy. This comes from the finance committee. And the main changes to this is we're asking department heads to check with, the state bid contracts. For those who don't know, the state goes around and gets companies and stores willing to give a set price to anybody in the state, and the state compiles this. And the state law allows, if you buy it off of this, you don't have to go through the other state laws of purchasing, so. You don't, if it's a truck for 68,000, you don't have to go and get 3 bids, you can get state bid, because they've gone through that process. So we're incorporating that and a few other things, anything else that seemed to me to be the big one, Bobby, what do you say?
Yeah, so they were just concerned that to make sure we were following this, so they had me create a form that department heads wanted to fill out and turn in. That just basically says, yep, I used the state bid, or here are my 3 bids, or this is a custom made thing only available at this vendor. So there's like different boxes they can check on why they purchased from where they purchased.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchasing policy revision.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second, any discussion, Cameron?
I'm just curious on the history, like what made this come about in a particular event?
No, it's part of the finance, committee. We are proactive in looking at ways of saving money and just making sure we have good, transparency and understanding of, the finances. So this is, and we've brought back a number of policies.
Did the finance committee discuss this with department heads?
Not department heads, but the finance director.
Well, yeah, but you know, there's a lot of department heads are required to, you know, check the state bid list, and it's adding, you know, stuff to what they'll have to do. So I just want to make sure that, you know, if there were any concerns for them, I'm not expecting either, just that the voices are out.
We didn't have formal conversations, but I did touch base with a couple of them, letting them know that this was coming.
And they didn't seem to object to it.
I mean, it was always the policy that they were supposed to, you know, get bids. It's just now they have to fill out a form saying it.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Discussion and possible action, village banner policy edition. So this is from Plan Commission, and we have a banner policy. But you got a photo of it. Last year, we allowed Trout Days to put their sign literally on our entrance sign. So we decided that we better have a policy on that, so there's it's applied consistently. It's easier for Brian to approve or not approve, so we took the banner policy and we're changing it to be called the Main Street Overhead Banner and Village Entry Sign Policy. So we're just changing the policy name, and then there'll be a subsection at the end of the banner policy that'll say the village entry sign usage, and then it'll have the rules under that, which you see right there. So we're not changing the banner part at all, we're just making this, and this is in compliance with the zoning and some of the rules and with how to go about the banner, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the village banner policy edition.
I'll second.
I have a motion in a second, any discussion? Go ahead, Michael.
Does this apply to all entry areas, not just on 14, but also up on Highway P? Because there's a sign up there.
No, this,
Buzzman's paint, like, what do we do with the sign up there?
well, that's something that would fall under the regular code, this is just the usage of
On Highway 14.
P, of those two signs, yes.
Okay, just.
We did not-
There's a sign up there.
I know I see that sign up there, and I guess I have to look at temporary sign and see what it says. I'm not sure if that meets code or not. All this is to hit those two signs. So people can put their signs on those big cemented face.
Second question. Or do you want?
No, but
Second, is there a fee associated with putting something out there? Is there a fee associated with the overhead?
The
banner?
overhead there is.
there is.
Yes, I thought there was a fee with the overhead. So about here, we've decided.
No, because we're not bringing in, for that overhead, you gotta get DOT, you gotta get specialized, staff has to put it up. We're not gonna let citizens put up that overhead. And there's lots of codes to that.
Okay.
We kept this extremely simple. So Trout Day, when the Lion Club says we'd like to put this up, yes. We have rules, so we don't get a sign that's too long that covers up the part that says Cross Plains, so it pretty much fits just like that. I'm guessing that's pretty close to a 4x10.
So I'm gonna assume we don't think we're giving.
Yeah, that other sign, we just have to look up, does it fit the temporary and
Yeah.
like I say, no, this does not address that. Vera?
So is there, I see that it says the village administrator can deny it, there are specific things that protect us from offensive signs.
Yeah, that's why he
Okay.
can deny it,
Okay,
and then the appeal would be to us, so we kept that just like any other sign in this village.
okay. I
It's
just didn't
just-
want there to be like a workaround to have some.
No, I hear what you're saying, no, that's,
Correct.
we're trying to keep it as simple as possible, so it follows
Right.
our process with all the other signs.
Okay,
Cody?
One thing I would say, and I see it says something about damage, but I wouldn't mind seeing something stating that they cannot drill into it. Like the hooks are there, you must use the existing hooks.
Well, we're already past that, they drilled it, we already.
don't move.
If it was.
No more.
It's just a thought.
I hear what you're saying on that, because,
That was an expensive sign.
yes, they were,
So that's where I'm going for a tornado.
So you would add that as a number 8 to not,
Yeah, or just something in there, like you cannot modify the existing structure to fit your sign.
okay, yeah, that,
Just cause I could see a guy out there for an event. like,
no, I hear what you're saying.
Hammer drill.
I would hope Brian, that would be part of the rules that he would go over, but it doesn't hurt to put in there that you can't modify the sign. Yeah, the structure, yeah,
So I have a question. So there are hooks out there right now that are like.
I don't know, they drilled into the sides and I don't know if
I
they're
haven't
eye screws or what, but that was attached to something.
It was, I can confirm they were drilled in, I've never visited it to inspect it myself, but there were definitely hooks added.
Were they hooks? Is that what they put
I
in?
believe so.
So is it like string or rope that go around that they tie into these?
No,
hooks?
look back to the picture, they're on the sides.
Sorry to have this.
No, you see the,
Oh, it's hung by the corner.
No,
Like, yeah, like there, it looks like it's hanging there,
Right, 1, 2, 3.
I think there were 4.
Yeah, I think it's on the
Oh, yeah.
corner.
Yeah, those are just the eyelets of the
Right.
sign.
Right.
I actually thought there's,
But bolted into it.
I thought they were on the side and there's something there that
I
you just
zoomed-
can't, like a little rope or something.
Skinny bungee or a skinny rope.
Yeah, I don't think they drilled. Jerry, do you know where they drilled exactly?
It looks like they're bolted right to the face of the rock.
I don't think that's what they did. I'll have to go.
Because in the corners, there's a big black dot, and then right above the T in trout, there's a
Yeah.
big black
I
dot.
agree, it looks like there's something just in there, like,
I'll have to look. I don't know the answer.
so they, when they took it off, they didn't screw those out.
I thought it was put on with rope, but it sure doesn't look that way.
Or sending the Lions Club a bill.
Is that what it
Is
is
that
on
what
the
it-
face of it?
And are they still in the concrete?
Figure out how to attach it by those.
So your side
I'm
must
good.
be this side.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
all right. I think that's good. Why don't you put it that you can't
Okay, that's something.
damage
Yeah.
or modify the structure.
We'll see if we can take a measurement too, so we put something on there
Well-
that says the banner is currently this. or-
Yeah, but I think if there's a screw there, then someone could have a smaller one and just.
No,
tie
that's
it
true,
to it.
yeah, that's true.
Or I mean, someone could, tie a rope around it with the structure and then
Or drill 6 more holes.
Yeah.
No, we don't want any more.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, your suggestion is good, and we'll put that in there, we'll add that, is everybody comfortable with adding that?
Tell organizations to contact them.
All right. Any,
All the Lions Club, they did it before.
any, other comments? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed, same. All right, number 8, this one seems like I've gone over this a million times too, discuss some possible action, village short-term rental policy. Plan has been working on this for seems like a long time. This is basically getting us ready in case a hotel or Airbnb starts showing up, we have some rules to short-term rentals. And it's better to have them on the books before something comes than try to put it on once they're there and they call no fair, so. I would have thought that this was viewed by you guys once before, but maybe not.
We
You guys
brought-
seen this?
Yeah, we brought it here first for feedback and comments, and then
Oh,
the
okay.
suggestions went back to plan and plan
Gotcha.
implemented, discussed those. Agreed upon a final version, plan is recommended this final version for final village board approval tonight.
So I will make the motion that we approve the short-term rental policy.
Second. I have a motion and a second, and,
I just want to confirm, is this a policy or is this actually an ordinance?
Looks like an ordinance to me.
Better than ordinance, right?
what's that?
It is an ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an ordinance.
Easier to change.
Than an ordinance.
Like
This is not in our ordinance at all.
What it says policy.
But if you click on the link, it says chapter 84, general zoning ordinance.
That's a valid point.
I just want to make sure we're getting the right thing here.
And this is fitting right into our zone.
It is going into the zoning code, so it should be a zoning ordinance.
All right, so let's change, let's do an amendment to that motion to change the word policy to ordinance.
Whoa, do you mean the opposite?
No,
Ordinance to policy or policy to ordinance?
Policy.
Policy.
Okay.
Yeah,
so it is
yeah,
ordinance.
So
right. Right now, the motion says in policy, we want to make an amendment to change that to say that it's in.
Short-term rental ordinance.
Ordinance.
That makes, I was just confused because Judy was saying we want a policy because they're easier to change.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's,
Originally, but
and
it's
that's
our
generally
relative.
right, but because of how it's written and we've tied it to the zoning code, it should be an ordinance.
Right.
Agreed. All right, so. Can someone make that amendment motion for
I'll
me?
make them.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so I have a motion and a second to amend the motion from the word policy to
Ordinance.
ordinance. All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. So now the motion has now been changed from policy to ordinance. Any other discussion on that?
I just want to make a clarification, Jay. This has nothing to do with hotels. This has everything to do with residential structures being used as short-term rentals, meaning houses. It's
I
nothing
think
to do with a hotel.
confusing the room tax. and-
Oh, is that what I'm
Yeah, I
confusing?
think that's what you started this. speak.
Okay.
Anyone wants to rent their
Yeah.
house
Thank-
out for a week, they can.
Okay, because I thought the definition included everything.
We've
but
been
okay.
talking about a lot of those.
Yeah, so that's short-term rent, okay, gotcha,
Just
thank
letting
you.
you know.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with the hotel.
Okay, good enough.
This is a
It's the tax
residential-
thing I'm thinking of, okay.
Potential rental.
All right.
Ordinance is what it is.
Yep.
All right, any other discussion? Thank you, Michael. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same, so moved. Oof done. All right, discussion and possible action, village hiring authorization policy. Bobby, you wanted to take, was this, did this come out of? Where did
Oh,
this come
this-
out of?
So this was at the last board meeting. We discussed
okay.
this and you asked for me to put together a written board policy related to hiring authorization. So I put the feedback that was received at the last board meeting into policy form. And that's what we're gonna hopefully vote on tonight.
Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, do I have a motion?
I would like to make the motion that we approve the village hiring authorization policy.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and second discussion. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same, so moved. All right. Went right through those, that was a lot, wasn't it? All right, so we are at the main event for tonight, discussion regarding the 2024 general operating base budget and supplemental request. So what I would like to do first, even though it's not one of the letters here, would be to approve a base budget. All right, that is the budget that staff submitted with a 1% increase across the board, and anything above that, they put into supplements, which are A through G. So what we need to do is, for sure, we have to approve a base budget so we can move forward, and then we can approve or not approve the supplements.
I'll make a motion to approve the base budget. Right?
Yeah, well, you can just say the 2024
Or the
base
Okay.
budget.
2024 base budget draft. No, it's not draft, but the base budget.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gonna be fine. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, so now we have a motion to approve the base budget that was submitted, discussion.
I'm gonna really ruin your night, Jay. We
Oh.
can't take any action because it's just discussion regarding these things. We know it doesn't list that we have possible action on any of these things.
You're making my life you're correct.
So it's
That is,
just giving me the
We can take.
go ahead to put these into the actual budget.
okay, there we go.
Okay,
So we're not gonna take votes, because we can't take action.
Okay.
No, the motion dies, because,
Straw polls. We need to-
all right, that's a good point, thank
I
you.
missed it when I looked at the draft. I saw this earlier today. I'm like, no, we can't take any action on this tonight. And I missed it earlier when I. when I-
That's all right.
So it's just straw.
Yeah, we'll just do it. Okay, where are people with the base budget on their comfort level?
I had one question.
Go ahead.
And this deals with the base budget and the supplementals. I kind of fired it off, but. Is the money that we give to the Chamber of Commerce just included in our base budget and they aren't a supplemental anymore or anything that we have to
Correct.
prove every year? That was my one question that I had because.
And how that works is everything that was in the budget in 2023 this year in what the categories of base carry over unless it's a fixed asset, then obviously it does.
Okay.
Right, so if we bought a typewriter, all right, if we bought. What's coming on? I was trying to get back. Okay, if it's a computer,
We would not put that as part of the base, budget. That would be eliminated, right?
Fixed assets do not count.
Watch out, James.
All right, but something that's reoccurring would stay. So the answer to you is that would stay.
And, can I ask you, where is that in the base budget? Is it?
I think it's under community development.
And it's 10,000 or 10,000? Yeah, okay, it's under community development.
Yeah.
Cause that's okay, I didn't see that, and that's what kind of made me wonder about that, that I didn't see on the supplemental listing.
So I think I did put, it's 10,000 for the chamber, I think the budget says 10,500.
Yeah, if I remember.
And I believe I put that in there, like the porta potty donation we give to Charlotte. That's the last few years, so I just put it in there. in case.
That's why I went up that $500,
Yeah.
I kind of wondered if that was the porta potty. Yeah, okay,
That's something we can.
right, I just was wondering, because we're gonna have a lot of stuff going on, and we wasn't sure where that piece was.
No, that's a good question. Right. Anybody else on the base budget? I think staff did a good job on putting that together. All right, so everybody kind of comfortable? Nodding heads, all right. Let's go to A. And I'll let Brian do this one.
Okay, this was a request that was received from the Gateway to the Driftless organization, of which I am the village representative on that work group. So they had asked for a $1,500 contribution to be made from the village to help with their operational costs. And the letter was included from the director, Peter Antoni, related to the work that the organization is currently involved within and providing. The goal, one of the main goals right now is what was looked at as a good neighbor trails, Black Earth Creek Trail project, kind of linking all the various communities here together, all the way out to the Wisconsin River.
People's thoughts? Sarah?
I think this is incredibly important. I guess this is something I've been wanting since I moved to this community, and I talked to many people. That's one thing that it's made people kind of second guess moving out here, because we want to see our community connected to other communities by trails. So I love the work that they're doing.
I'll just comment, I, in the past, have not been as supportive because it was more towards marketing. But I agree now that the state is putting money into getting a bike trail across the Wisconsin River and going down that way. Plus, we're gonna get 500,000 in grants to put the trail from, at least from our part of the village, and they have worked very hard in moving this trail up in the Dane County Parks process. That I think it's more towards lobbying versus marketing. So I'm inclined to support, because I do see some real benefit from this. That's my comment on it.
I'll say I agree with you. They're really working on it, especially with that bike trail getting up there, and they're moving on it, and just getting this trail through all the way to stop would be great. And this, yeah, I'm in favor of this.
And I think if we get our Village Hall police station with that extended parking lot, this could be the point for people to come here, park, and take the trail, and that just brings more tourism. So I see this as a good project of bringing bodies, and it fits our whole thing of outdoor activities. So there's a lot of positive to this. Other people? Alrighty. So, cybersecurity software upgrade, who's presenting that?
I can take that. So this was more or less something that I kind of came across and just in general, doing some research about the needs of the village IT related to the potential new office location, potential other facilities around the village. In talking with our current IT contractor related to what we have in place within the village at the present time and what needs might be out there for upgrades or things that we should be considering with a new space. More or less, it was somewhat readily conclusive that we should be doing this. I think in the terms of where things are globally right now with some of the cyber attacks, I know we're getting a lot of just random emails, kind of implying, send your bank account information, phishing scams and spoofing emails and whatnot. I'm not saying we're gonna be subjected to that, but the last thing I want is something to actually occur. And I knew that we had what I deemed was a less than satisfactory needs in current IT realm in place within the village at the present time.
So I guess the one question, besides all these trends, what are we getting for the 2,500? I mean, I know from police, the 3,200, we got this firewall, so what is this? 2,500?
So a lot of the updates pertaining to this is the way that the software, the antivirus software, basically identifies and shuts off any kind of new kind of cyber breaches. Essentially, like a lot of apparently the virus software will embed things in your network and hide it there. And now these new antivirus programs will identify that, block it off from actually having any access to anything and alert the IT departments. Whereas it's actually more proactive than reactive, I guess, in the way of looking at it, in terms of the defense mechanisms in place within the system.
Is there a bid that you're basing this? I mean,
so I was in touch with outside contractors related to just some overall thoughts related to the costs and what we could upgrade to with an eye to the new facility. In going back and talking with Pat, our current IT lead within the village, he provided me with a quote that was more competitive than the quote I received from the outside contractor related to that same type of software and antivirus protection. So that's what I am using tonight which is in alignment with what the costs are because it's coming from the same place.
okay. Anybody else have questions? Go ahead, Aaron.
So, I guess as someone in this space a bit, do we have IT deficiencies in this building? I'm sure, Wi-Fi and stuff is whatever. I'm not opposed to spending $2,500 on some higher end antivirus, something that is proactive, but like all of that is not going to be the thing that really, really protects your network. The thing that's going to really, really protect your network is staff training, like 100%. How big banks and stuff are hacked. It's not that they don't have the right infrastructure, the right software. They're spending millions and millions of dollars on that stuff. It's that, some front desk person gets emailed something and then they're emailing a password back and then that person's in. Like, there's no software in the world is going to stop you on that end. Your best bets here are staff training, and I don't know if that's something we're looking into or that this includes, but just on kind of the do's and don'ts of phishing emails and like safe links to click and things to download. I mean, like even the thing you said, something gets on your network and it's running and it's hiding, right? It doesn't just magically happen. Someone does something to get it there. So that's, if you're really looking to spend money to protect the village's IT infrastructure, it's training for all the staff, police, you and everyone, and kind of that kind of stuff. The only other thing that, again, the key kind of protection thing, and I don't know if this is covered in this, I assume not based on how much it is, but is looking into multi-factor authentication routes. There's the like key magical IT security thing is you need to have 2 or 3 things, something you know, something you are, or now I'm blanking in the last one, something you have. Yes, yeah, it's something you have. So it's like, you know, everyone's used you know, your phone gets a text message that says, hey, here's your verification. That's something you have, and then you have to pair that up with your password, which is something you know, right? My work is moving to these UV key things, which are something you plug into your computer. That's something you have, and then it's tied to a password, so along with something you know. So you know, again, the only you can buy all the software you want in the world to kind of, you know, firewalls and all the rest to protect your network. They're going to do nothing more than often than not, because if something is getting past the basic stuff, it's because it was a human error. And so you want to avoid that as much as possible, and that would be something to really prioritize if we're serious about cybersecurity and stuff, is multi-factor authentication, and then just constant training and vigilance on you know, what emails are safe, what links are safe, and all that stuff. Again, I assume this 2300 or 2500, I'm sorry, is only covering some software and some management service of it for a year or whatever. I mean, that's fine. It's just, you know, it's not going to be the best use of time and resources.
Bobby?
So we're currently looking at our insurance renewals, and some of the things we can do is increase our insurance for cyber attacks and stuff, so we're better off to increase our insurance limits and take a little extra premium versus this.
Oh,
I mean, there's
I
one,
thought you were
I don't
saying
know.
this would maybe unlock some better rates or something on that.
That's a react, obviously, but.
I mean, 2,500 is pretty low. I don't know how much it would cost to increase your insurance. Again, your number one bet is just making sure that the human error element doesn't happen.
Michael?
So is this software that like gets loaded on every employee's computer? Is that what this is?
Correct.
Okay. And it's $2,500 annually. Like,
Correct.
part of the.
Well, it's actually going from 13,000 up to 15,000.
So is everything that's already in that account. So it's
Oh.
not just for.
Going up $2,500.
Yeah.
It's going up $2,500.
Right.
Right, so that's why, so it's going up $2,500 because the licensing for this software is 2,000 a year or something like that. I'm imagining,
Exactly.
or whatever.
Yep.
Okay. Because right now, you're not really using any.
Well, they must be using some for 13,000.
Well,
that's just
but
IT.
that's just the IT, but meaning if the guy.
But don't you think we're paying for licensing for stuff right now, protection?
That's what I
Like
asked.
I didn't want to like speak in
Right, okay.
things in the
No,
open meeting.
we're in
about
open
what
meeting.
we
Don't,
have.
don't say anything. He doesn't
Yeah.
want to say what we currently have.
Right, no, I agree with that.
Okay.
How many total computers is it? Just curious.
I
I imagine
forget
all
what
of
the-
it
yeah.
do.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know if ours had any.
I forgot.
Then I get all the emails from Jay.
Yeah.
What are you doing later, Cody? Nothing with you, Jay.
Let me text you.
Yeah.
I think it's 20 total is what we're getting on this quote.
Not an exorbitant amount of money.
But yeah, does that include these laptops? Because we log into the village network.
Mhm.
I mean, are these protected by?
It's kind of hard, right?
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah. 20
Because the police would be separate, library would be separate. This building.
All right.
Well, so I mean,
Necessary evil.
yeah.
Well, it's something,
It sounds like something not having it, something could be disastrous, consequences.
It's kind of like leading into the next topic too.
That's a little different, that's. But anyways, are people looking at we should invest more, 2,500 into more software security, I guess? Yeah. That,
Yeah, I think we should do that, and I would think maybe I've been thinking about this for a while, but we probably wanna make more committees, but there's probably like an IT committee we want to put together, especially at looking at the new building.
oh, absolutely, I agree.
I see who's gonna.
We've
share.
talked about.
Yeah, I know,
Looking at
Right,
the camera.
and stuff. But, because I just, otherwise, I mean, we can talk to our partner, or, you know, CDW or all these people, I mean, they're just gonna sell you a bunch of crap, but not, you know, actually have, you know, sound recommendation.
I will ask them also about training, you know, what kind of training options there are. I mean, unfortunately, that wasn't part of what was included in what I brought forward tonight, but I could definitely inquire about what they have available, or if they have something available, or to go to a second outside contractor or something like that.
See if they can throw something in with it.
Not, to be clear, I'm not looking to, you know, like continually ramp up, or just if you're looking for the most bang for your buck and protect stuff. it's-
Well, no,
it's different from-
I think that should always be done, almost all big organizations do that, you have computer 101, and again, it's half hour, 45 minutes of saying, hey, these are the trends, and these are, our people are getting around our security. So these are the things you as an employee can do to help us prevent that from happening, I think that should be in, we have a mechanism that we could do that pretty easy, we have what, 30 employees, so. I mean, it's,
Well, I know at the school district, I mean, we have ongoing training.
Yeah.
We're constantly getting sent.
Yeah. to be a little bit
Like
of
it's-
workshops.
No, we get like fake
Yeah.
emails that we have to.
Oh, yeah.
They're like fake emails, like what
It's a
they
test.
send.
Yeah, yeah, you get tested. Oh, yeah, my job too.
It's terrible on last year.
yeah, no, I mean, I think you bring up a valid point, and we can do that, I don't think that's a huge thing to accomplish here at all. You know, it's a needed thing. All right, let's go to the next one then, C. I mean, it's pretty straight that I think they do, that they gave us a low bid, and now they're jacking us up. And if I remember, there were other companies, weren't there, that did the same function?
I don't
If I-
remember,
I
was it you
don't-
or Tony that initially?
Yeah,
Got
Tony
it.
and I,
Yeah.
right off the top of my head, do not remember. We had multiple. I think we kind of zeroed in on Archive Social from recommendations.
Yeah. But they're almost, they're increasing it like 40%, and then another 5% every year after that. 5% I don't mind, but I mean, that's an awful big jump. So,
That's what you put out for a bid.
oh, that's, I mean, I'm certainly wouldn't have a problem with that.
Have we done anything with them since we purchased, like, has there been a need to go recall an archived post for some reason?
Can't say that I think that there has been, yeah.
Yeah, you should know.
Yeah,
You're the
I
custodian
don't
of
remember a
records.
single one.
Yeah. I don't know, what are other people's? I mean, that just seems like a big jump to me.
It won't hurt to get some bids. I
Yeah.
agree.
But
Everybody
we do
know.
all agree that that's a necessary
Mhm.
protection.
Oh, absolutely, well, yeah, I mean, that's,
No, I just
Yeah.
wanna make sure because.
oh, no, I would say to drop them.
We haven't used it.
I just feel like this was kind of a switch and bait, they gave us real low, and then they just assumed everybody's gonna renew no matter at what cost. So, and it may be where this is now the going rate, I don't know, but I think it's worth checking anytime there's a 40% increase, I think it's
Mhm.
worth looking into. So,
I can look
maybe
back
go
and-
back for last year and look,
Yeah.
for some reason, I thought there was a number of companies that we talked about, maybe not, I don't. I'm still talking about typewriters, so I wouldn't rely too much on that.
Can't get a virus on your typewriter?
Yeah, that's exactly right, we wouldn't need all this.
Just, you're not getting hacked on those.
Yeah.
Chief?
Yeah, the only comment I have is, I don't remember if there was other companies, but Archive Social reached out to us. Because we do a lot of posts and they have this whole spiel about protecting, a lot of agencies have gone with Archive Social. However, that gentleman has reached out 2 or 3 times to us because he knows that this big pipe is up. I wonder if we push back a little bit, if they would negotiate that. I don't know if that's even. Well, we haven't talked to them at all. That's just
Tell me to push back from the board.
Yeah,
to
I,
answer Cody's question, most definitely. The only way, I mean, I've just went to the open records, seminar and talked about that, and the only way to protect us would be to stop posting things on Facebook. Because you're responsible for everything that's posted, whether we post it or someone else posts it. And so the moment someone makes a comment on our Facebook, it's immediately captions. And yes, we can shut off comments, so there are ways to circumvent it, but then, you know, if you don't, or if you allow comments, or if any post that you posted and you don't take care of it, it becomes an open record and then it becomes a serious problem, especially if there's like a threat on there or anything like that. So everybody's using some type of, you know, protection.
oh yeah, I am not suggesting that we don't do it. What I'm suggesting is we see what the market is, and I have no problem calling up and saying, like Cody says, hey, the board is uncomfortable with that big of increase, you know. We're gonna, and maybe we're stuck with it, I don't know,
Okay.
but we should at least check into it, that kind of an increase. Without my understanding of getting anything new. All right, everybody comfortable with that? All right. Okay, Northwest Dean Senior Services, we were talked about it, and if I'm calculating this right, they're looking for about a $3,800 increase. The 1% would have been $25,375, the $7 ends up $29.22. Right? So I'm looking.
Right, so. we
About
can say,
3,800?
yes, we can do $7, or we can just say, oh, we're gonna give you a flat this, like. They'll take whatever we give them, so it's up to us if we wanna give them what they're asking or negotiate.
I'm in favor of what they're asking. I think they
Me
do
too.
great work in our community.
I do too, and they help us out with rec, so I just wanted, so it's about 3,800. I just trying to do your numbers here.
36.
36, thank you.
But I'm in favor of it.
Everybody, all right. All right, creek monitoring. Well, just so everybody gets the history of this, we were originally paying the whole 60,000 ourselves for the last 5 years, at least close to that, right?
50-something.
Yeah, 50-some thousand, so. You know, it's a reduction to what we were paying, so I'm glad that other people are stepping up and helping out. I was hoping to get a little lower than $8,000, but it is a major asset in the village.
Can we offer lower than 8? Can we offer 5 or 6?
That's where I almost, when they said the other municipalities, that's what they're asking, like, can we talk to them and make sure they're on the same page?
Right, what is Blackbird giving, or what is whoever, I mean, they said nobody else would be committed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
I mean, that's tricky. If everyone's going to each other going, what are you gonna do? I mean,
Yeah.
someone's gotta be a leader and.
Yeah, like I said, the
Well,
question, like I said, I needed to know who else were players, and since the county's sticking in 25%, USGS is putting in 25%.
Yeah.
So that's 50%, so now we're picking up, a third to a fourth of that remaining. Right?
My thought is if they're 25, we give 8, they gave 8. Mason I'm assuming would be the
8
third.
or 5 years.
Right.
18.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
it's a-
20, getting 24,000 annually between 3 municipalities.
Well, if they're reaching upstream too. The towns they're looking to try to get money from. let's just put it this way, does everybody feel we should give something to this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good, so then it's a matter of trying to figure out what we're comfortable with,
What were we giving before? You said,
50 some thousand, yeah.
but that's in over 5 years?
No, every year,
Every year.
cause see, we ended up kind of having to do it with the sewer plant.
Right.
And now it's become such a high value asset. You know, the whole thing that started is we told them that we weren't gonna do it anymore since we didn't need to do it anymore. We couldn't afford that, so they went out and started to come up with the formula.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, USGS kicking in 25% counties.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I'm fine with providing the $8,000 that they're asking, especially since it's from 57 down to 8, providing that $8,000, I think it's great. I mean, out here is where the spawning beds are for the creek, knowing that it's healthy. These other communities, I mean, I've talked with Andy, who's been here once or twice. He went around with him one day with that other fellow, like he showed me like some stuff on the creek. It was like a few hours one day. And Black Earth, I think, is gonna definitely be providing, whether or not it's $8,000, I don't know, but they've added, if you ever drive down there, like a Black Earth sign, they have like a thing about trout on their sign now, like they're really like, kind of like figuring out that this could be a good thing, and so. And along with Mazo, I think that it's just a resource, and everyone along the creek pitches in to keep it healthy, then I think it's a great thing.
Well, that's my thing, I guess that would be the one thing that I would. Like to check into is just see what others are doing.
Yeah.
You know, not, and I agree, we gotta be leaders, but if. If they can come up with, where we only have to pay 6,000 because everybody else is kicked in. You know, let's face it, they did a formula where they know they're gonna get some no-votes. And they still want to get covered.
Well, I don't feel like it's where like forcing their hand by just reaching out to the local community and saying, hey, they approached us, did they approach you?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that, but I mean.
I still want to.
Saving $2,000 over 5 years or something to, poke around and see what these other, I don't know, it just.
Well, it's a matter of, I hear what you're saying, and I'm not doing it just for the money, it's time we all work together, right? If we're really worried about the watershed, everybody who's in the watershed should be part of the solution. It shouldn't be carried on one community's back, so to me, it's just a good excuse to reach out and talk to people and see where they're coming from on it.
I agree, I think but when you reach out to them, that would be great, hey, we committed $8,000 a year for the next 5 years, what are you doing? Like that shows, you really want to get people working together, that's like a better, I'm the leader, are you coming with, not, hey, I want to nickel and dime and make sure that you're paying your part, and so maybe we can pay 6, and if you pay an extra 2, and
I guess I wouldn't do it that way, that's not how I'm doing it, I'm going to them saying, we're gonna commit to this. And we wanna be part of the solution, what are your ideas? I wouldn't even ask them exactly how much they're doing, I just try to get a feel of how many people are doing it, because quite frankly. I think the county and the US government could put some pressure, they're getting a lot of stuff from services. So I'm just that's how I would approach it, and just see what other people are thinking.
Didn't we vote on something last year to give $1 more than Black Earth or something?
I don't remember that. We don't have really anything to say about Black Earth, so I don't know why we would.
It was something similar, like a joint thing.
Was it Northwest Dane? Did she come back and say we're giving $1 more than Black Earth, even though she didn't raise it?
No, like the total amount was like $5,000 and we gave like $5,150.
I mean.
A weird dream about the budget process.
See, something was spinning in Bobby's head. She's like,
We're gonna.
I didn't hear it.
Well, I think we're looking to commit, so. Again, the big time when this is gonna come up is in October.
Right.
And November, so right now, I think we all are doing it if. I think, we just need to do a little check-in again, and then we can come back, and it seems like. It could be 8,000. And if it's less, that's great, if not, no big deal, but I think we gotta at least understand a little bit on, because this is supposed to be a joint effort, cooperative effort, right?
Yeah.
All right. F, assessment service. Boy, you gotta take this one, because this one I can't follow. I don't know if anybody else could.
So remember last month we had, 2 assessors come in. And basically just, I don't know, they didn't do it too much in the meeting, but in emails, they're kind of going at each other saying, this one's bad because of this reason, and this one's bad because of this reason. I don't know, we have some options. The cheapest option is to switch to accurate appraisal and do maintenance only. We have identified that we'll need to do, not a full reevaluation, but it's called like a market adjustment. Evaluation within the next 5 years, so I would prefer to do like a 5-year contract that includes that increased services. So then there would be a increase over current year amount. Both companies offer that as an option. I did put in a recommendation that we stick with that we have. But that would be about a $10,000 per year increase if we do that.
Okay, when you say that option, that is with the current company. 5-year contract, maintenance for 4 years, and then that market analysis in one of the years.
Yes,
And it's still a 10,000.
yeah, I think it's like 21,000 a year.
And the alternative, the other company, what would that be for a 5-year contract? A maintenance,
Yeah.
see, I can't follow that, I cannot follow those at all.
Oh, it's my.
I looked at their matrix and their graphs and I just could not follow.
Bobby, when the last time we had a market update, what did that cost? Because I was looking out of.
It's like $70,000, but that was a full reevaluation where they went into your homes.
Okay, that's.
So we won't need that one in the next 5 years, we'll just need,
Okay, that's.
to kind of.
Okay, so just hold this
Yeah.
slide.
Because it says, so what's how's a market update less than a full eval? They aren't going to homes, but they do what then?
I think on the bottom of this page, this is accurate
Yeah.
description of what it is.
Oh, we will conduct the same sort of maintenance.
But here's my thing. So. If you look at this, it says 24, 10,000, 20, 10,000, 20. I don't understand how it can be 10,000 more, so they're doing it for $200 now?
No, so
This is the competitor.
Well, but okay, but they're gonna be close, I can't believe the competitor,
all they did was took what numbers in our budget and matched it. That's what the 10,200 a year is that the league budget.
Right.
They did was looked at our budget and said, oh, this is what we'll do.
Okay, so that's a no increase, so I'm trying to figure out how we get another 10,000 on that.
Like with the company we currently have, how did they jump to 10,000?
I'm trying to figure out, yeah, I'm trying to figure out how, looking at this, how there's a $10,000 increase. I can't do the numbers.
Well, so.
Even the 18,000. That's only an 8,000 increase if we're already budgeting 10,000.
Yeah,
It's
so
an extra service.
I think what you have to look at, Jay, is, are we gonna need a market update in the next 5 years? And I think we agree, so really that should just kind of probably cross off those first 2 options for you.
No, the blended one has it.
Yeah, but it's
Or
for
we
not
could
as,
do maintenance for 3 years and then do a 5-year.
right, I mean,
contract.
there are options there.
Yeah, the bottom one.
But your price per year, because you're signing a longer contract,
And including that enhanced services.
it's gonna be better, and on both this one and the other one, when they had the breakdown, looking at the longer contract, one had like a better price per year or whatever.
Right, but what's missing in my head is if we are right now spending $10,200. Even if you go to this one, that's only an increase of 5,000. I don't understand how you get
It's on the
$10,000.
other
This is,
contract.
this
The
is the
other-
competitor.
This
This
is the
is not the one
competitor,
that
not
she's
what we're
recommending we're
currently
going with.
Okay.
So the one
so-
she wants,
So just so I'm, but,
Oh, sorry,
just-
okay, yeah.
no. So right now, if we said we wanna go with this, over 5 years, it's gonna be 76,000 versus the 50,000 that we have. So it's
Yeah.
26 over 5 years, 5,000 more, right?
Yep.
I just wanna make sure my numbers
Yep.
are right. All right, now go to the next one.
Yeah, the company we're currently using raised their prices significantly.
and this is the company that we're currently
Okay.
using here.
Yep.
More
Okay,
expensive
one
than
second.
we just saw.
There you go.
So that's with the maintenance and reevaluation. If you go up, it just has. the
Yeah, one
maintenance
more
price.
page.
You go up a page.
Yeah, so if we
Yeah.
stayed with just maintenance, theirs is going up 8,000 a year.
Yeah,
Right.
Right now, they were 10.
they were right around.
This is just me.
Yeah,
No, I understand. But again, I'm trying to come up with the $10,000. Okay, go to the next slide then.
inflation, Jay.
No, I'm just trying to make the numbers match in my head. So yes, okay, using this one at the very bottom, it would be $11,000,
A
10,800.
year, yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right, I just wanna make sure we're all on the same page here.
Yeah,
But
it's,
those other new people, we don't have to change our budget if we go to the new ones, because they.
No, we have to do it if we want that market, because that's up, it's at least 5,000 more.
Right. We could switch companies and not include a reevaluate.
Right, then it would stay the same.
Then it stays the same.
Correct.
Yeah.
But what Bobby is saying, and I agree, if we know we have to do this, why not spread that cost over 5 years instead of taking a big hit in 1 year? But, okay, now that I understand it. Okay,
So you're really looking at the difference between, I think it was 18 grand a year for the competitor and 21 a year. For the one, if to stick with the current one, if I remember the numbers correctly. in the one.
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it's 15.
50
Okay, I'm sorry, 15.
versus 20, so $6,000 a year difference.
If you want maintenance and you want a 5 contract, which, I mean, I guess that's probably what we should be looking at.
It is a lot of money, that's why. Whatever you guys.
I like,
Well,
I like the thought of signing for a contract where we're locked in for 5 years, right? We wanna do a market adjustment or.
right,
I think that's what we would do with either company.
Yeah.
right, I think we all agree with that's the smart move. To me, I'd go to the new company then, it's significantly.
I don't know, did you read the reviews?
I read reviews from both companies that were positive and negative, and, you know,
They were both slamming each other.
yeah, I'm not gonna, and it's such a small percent of the people who've been affected. When you look at all the cities,
I cared less about what the company said about each other, more about what, like, the cities and municipalities who use their services said. I don't know, reading through what the municipality said. I am not a professional here, but just reading through them, I felt like sticking with the current one, though more expensive, was gonna be a better. Experience and quality and, all that stuff. I also worry, and I mean, I don't know about this, Bobby, 100%, but like, if we just like go to the other company, I don't think it's gonna be as easy as just like, oh, yep, we signed a new contract, like, there's gonna be a whole bunch of work probably to switch.
So I did ask about that, and all they do essentially is they get a file from Associated and they just upload it into so they take Associated's values for the first year and just assume that they're fair.
because that's all public record.
Right.
There's no, yeah, we paid for that, and so there, I don't.
Which is the big
Okay.
deal.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm thinking too much about it.
Really, it's about $30,000 difference, which is a lot.
I think so too.
this is a different thought though. Which company, I mean, not that we know, but will do a better job during regular years doing the regular work? Because there's a page in here in the addendum where they were kind of going against each other as these coefficients of dispersion, and which company is actually tracking home prices better to do updates better, is basically what this was saying. It's a lot of statistical stuff, but it's basically saying that if you go with the cheaper company, they might not be keeping up with arms value linked sales that are going on inside houses and inside neighborhoods to know how to actually appraise houses. So they would keep our equalized value possibly at a more accurate and correct and higher level. Which one do we think is gonna do a better job each year doing that? If that's kind of what this
It did
addendum
sound like they
page
had
kind of-
different approaches.
Yeah.
like, to come up with the value. Yeah.
But we're not going with a company that doesn't have any customers and we're gonna be their only customer. There's a whole lot of customers using them.
I agree,
Yeah,
but
you know,
I think you gotta go with the cheap one.
I do too. I mean-
$6,000 a year is.
There's also a lot more technology and like I didn't even understand the last time they went into homes and stuff, and it doesn't make a whole lot of that any sense to me. I think you can do a lot from outside and Zillow and all of that stuff. I don't get some of the work, but it's.
And I gotta believe there's a pretty standard
Yeah.
formula that's used across, yeah. But I mean, we don't have to decide tonight.
I mean, I probably need to get the contract signed,
Oh,
so,
but we
This
can't
wasn't-
take
This
action.
wasn't an agenda item though, wasn't it?
right, but I mean, we could say
You moved it to later.
next.
Oh, you're right, we could do that. We'd have to reopen. But it is a separate, discussion.
we
possible-
could do action on the assessment.
Yes, we could pick the company. We could do that, absolutely.
Let's debate over. with-
I just need a motion to reconsider, item 2, or 3, is it 2 or 3?
Two.
Yeah, it's two.
I'll make a motion to.
Well, hang on a second, I may have spoke, we didn't even do a motion for that,
You
Well,
said
we
we'll
did, we
move it
just
to,
skipped
we'll
it,
move it
that's
to
right.
later.
Yes.
We're going over it.
so it's just a matter of reopening, that, we don't have to redo it under reconsideration. But are people, before we do that, are people ready to decide on one or the other? Or did people need more time to think about what's been discussed?
I'm gonna more or less defer to Bobby and whatever I'm sorry, well, I mean, I'm not gonna have to work with them.
Right.
You will when they come to your house.
I mean, we can always switch and see how that goes and.
Well, but if you're gonna do that, you wouldn't wanna lock yourself into a 5-year contract.
So then just do like the 3-year.
That's
Maintenance.
an option if I mean, you wanna take the Jerry approach, like, you know, what he does with lawnmowers, you give him 1 year and you see, you know, if they screw up and then you instead give them a longer contract. I don't know.
If you do that, it's just gonna cost.
It is gonna cost you more, but it's gonna cost you a lot if it sucks for 5 years and you're locked in.
It's not a matter, of, in the sense of, they're just doing reevals. And let's face it, until you do the one where they're. The market one where they really should be doing it, the rest is a formula that they get building permits and stick it in, and I think I mean, you look at it, no one hardly goes to open book. We've sat around for years and years for 2 hours and no one is showing up. I mean, I don't think they're gonna make these huge changes that all of a sudden we're gonna get all these people, because it costs them more. The more people that sign up for open book, the more time they spend on it, the more time that they come to this meeting and they have to do their side of a justification, it's more time. Again, if we were seeing a lot of people, that's one thing, but we've sat for 2 hours, nothing. And I just don't see it as where they go knocking on doors. I think the key one is for sure when they do a val, because we definitely want to be up in the upper 90% to market value, so we don't have to do it again in a short period of time. You know, the IRS wants you up. But when you looked at it, I think we're still around 93. If I remember the last time we did it for market value, we were at 93%, I thought village-wide. Go ahead.
I guess I worry most, not so much about, you know, oh, when we do the big evaluation, making sure they're in the right number and we don't have a lot, I'm not worried about that, I'm worried about Bobby's time, because again, just reading through some of those other village clerks. You know, like their feedback was that like there was a lot of, you know, that things were done late and, you know, I just. That's where this would fall on its face, is not so much that like
Okay.
the evaluation. part.
How many times in a year and how much time do you think you spend with the current assessor?
I spent more time in the last couple of years, checking that they've added the new subdivisions, like,
Okay.
so for instance, this past year, they forgot to change the phase 2 scenic valley lots from agriculture to, lot, like
Yeah.
the buildable lot. So I caught that, and then
Yeah.
all of them, I'm checking if they've started building a home, that they've increased the value there. So I'm doing extra checking just because the subdivisions are going on.
But you would do that for either or.
Correct,
You would do that
yes.
no matter what.
Right, no, I'm just trying to,
Prior to that.
I'm trying, yeah,
Spot checked,
Yeah. it's not, it's,
Yeah.
I just don't think it's a service that demands a lot of village time.
Right, and I'm not gonna do more or less. It's gonna be the same amount of my time, but no matter which. company I choose.
Okay, then I don't know where these, these feedback from, other.
Well,
other
some of
boards and
them-
Stuff, or, they're saying, oh my gosh, they weren't getting the papers on time, and that, that's gonna cost Bobby a bunch of time to have to chase that stuff down if it comes to that, but I don't know who will,
Right. I can tell you when we did our in-house ones, the room was packed and the open book was booked for days. But that was an overall nightmare, and that just was a lot of work for everybody.
I think that's gonna happen no matter what, if you, like, whatever company, if you do debate.
Right.
Yeah, so like, I'm not even thinking about that, I'm just thinking of more of
Okay.
the day-to-day stuff.
Michael?
Were we currently in a contract with our current guys, and that's when they sent you the certified letter saying they're canceling it? Or
So
was was the contract ending?
it was currently on a year-to-year,
Okay.
and then the contract stated that. Either party had to notify the other party certified mail by July 1st if they weren't gonna auto renew. And so they notified us via certified mail that they weren't gonna auto renew because they were redoing their pricing structure.
So that gave us time to go out and get bids, which I think was a smart thing to do.
Yeah, no, they did that. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of leaning more towards going with the company that's less expensive. I guess my question is since we don't have the contract, if there would be any sort of out in that contract, should the services fall to be less?
Well, that's-
It's gonna be a very solid, like, you can't get out of this without paying hefty fines or fees or.
No, that's a valid point. We can look at it. I guess what we would do today, because they're proposals. Is we would approve one of the proposals, and then when we get the contract, it's gonna have to come back again anyways, and we look at it and. Maybe there is some wording in there that
Says.
yeah, that says,
Exited or.
yeah,
something.
a lot of them do it because they want that same. Protection too, so, but there's usually some type of out or negotiation. But we can look at it, that's a good point, that's another way of easing some of the concerns. All right, so can I have a motion to reconsider item 2?
I make a motion to reconsider agenda item number 2.
Do we need to get through 10 first? Because we never talked about the mowing service.
Well,
We're just in discussion, I don't think.
yeah, no, we haven't got a motion on the table, so we can move around a little bit. All right, I have a motion and a second to, open, item number 2. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. So we're back into number 2, which is discussion and possible action, village assessment services proposals. Do I have a motion?
I will make a motion to contract with accurate appraisal under a 5-year blend contract.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. On proposal from, what is the company's name? Accurate, thank you, Accurate, company. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same, so moved. Right. Going back to 10, it's discussion on the village mowing service. So again, we've had, been given to you the proposal on what it would cost to do it ourselves. And we decided to go out to bid. And we received 3 companies that gave us bids, and I'm trying to get to that last page that has kind of a summary. It's not, the math wasn't quite done proper, correct, but all right, so what we have given to us was the 3 companies. Okay, 3 companies. The only one that I would make corrections in is the Rickman Lawn Care. In their bid, they included sales tax, which the village does not have to pay. So if you redo the numbers for that particular one, and I don't know on this, how many mowings did you do when you calculated the cost?
28.
For this one here? Okay, so that's what I ended up doing, and the difference for Rickman, instead of 87 for just mowing, it's 83,300. And then for the trimming, instead of 96,700, it's 91,700. And this here is.
So that's the newest memo. So obviously last week the stuff came up pretty quick. We did our tour with the 3, actually we had 4 people, 4 different companies show up for the tour. Did a tour with all the properties within the village and gave them an update in regards to the number of acres as well, acreage that needed to be mowed. Jerry was gone on vacation, and Bobby and I was trying to get together before I gave you the memo, but I didn't want to give you all this information that I'm giving you tonight without someone else looking over the numbers. I didn't want to have that in the packet that was wrong, so. I was able to update it to allow for the information from the villages. So how much it would cost for the village to mow as well, so we technically have 4 of those for discussion.
Staff stuff.
You can see within the memo, staff did not provide any recommendations on any of this stuff. You know, if you look over it in regards, if you're just looking at numbers and you're looking at budget. You know, overall. You're gonna spend about 99,546. Overall, the overall request for the budget, but with that overall number, you also get 5 months of work out of the labor as well. So. They said with the updated numbers from Rickman, which was the lowest proposal in there, it was like 91,000, right?
91,700.
Yeah.
So you're looking at about an $8,000 increase if you were to compare the 2 of them, but you're also getting 5 more months of work from someone.
Do you think it'll be hard to hire in today's world for those 2 positions?
Possibly. I mean, just like just like the contractors. I gotta look at it like if someone is mowing and trimming and, you know, as a laborer, they know that that's their job coming in. And they're getting full benefits and they're not getting that working for one care company.
And here's the other thing that I was thinking about when I was doing that, and especially looking at the bid sheet on what they were charging, like Scenic Valley to mow around the retention pond and everything was $1,000 a mow. And I'm thinking, why are we mowing all that? Why not for at that price, 3 mows, you could probably reseed all of that into no mow, or that you know, grass like that, and then we wouldn't have to mow it but one time a year. I mean, I think that's what I was gonna do after seeing that, send it to your committee to look at. I think Raspberry Park where the small diamond is, all that area in the back, you know, if it's T-ball there, could go to no mow. I mean, I think we could reduce the amount of mowing that needs to happen, and then we could bring down the cost of contracting services. Because they're doing it on how much time it takes to mow, if we could reduce the amount. I'm real hesitant, because the numbers, I hear what you're saying. Of the numbers, I think it's always better to contract if they're that close. Because you don't have all the headaches of constantly trying to keep an employee.
It's not that close though, because you're looking at a summer of mowing versus a year of mowing and, you know, at least last time Gary had talked about possibly snow removal and stuff. I mean, it's not an apple and oranges number to just say, oh, it's that close.
Well, apples to apples is what we try, that's what I wanted to do originally, is kind of the apples to apples, so I broke it out, I tried to break it out. So 28 weeks at 1501, roughly what we would pay a person. Plus adding one seasonal for 14 weeks, of the two seasonals are no longer here. Gas, we kind of went high on, maintenance costs, about average. So if we were to compare them as apples to apples, the village could do it for 73,206 for 28 months. Right. And Rickman could do it for 91.
Exactly, but you don't have to replace equipment, you don't have to, if someone quits. Who's gonna pull in other staff to do the mowing, you don't have. You lose a lot in staff time, and in the hiring process is not calculated here. Or the staff time in doing maintenance, I didn't see calculated in here, you know. The maintenance, the cost of the material, but not the time, so. And at some point, for plowing and stuff, you're gonna need, if we're gonna have another body, then you might need another piece of equipment. That needs maintenance and everything. I mean, I still think it's very, very close. Go, Doug,
Well, the biggest thing I was gonna say is we've been contracting for a number of years, a great number of years. There's been a lot of benefit to it. The one partner we had for many, many years was probably a little lower priced than they should have been, maybe didn't keep up with some stuff. But it's a big change. And you get all of the equipment and a lot of those costs up front, where at least the proposals are fairly close. The gentleman with the low bid is a kid from town, who I know is a hard worker. I mean, I think that's a plus too, and maybe an opportunity to know that these numbers are better than what I had seen a year ago. So that if maybe it doesn't work out with Rickman, maybe we need to look again in a few years, maybe that's more of a path. But to me, it's pretty close and to me reasonable if we want to continue that model, which I think is work.
No, maybe.
Other people's thoughts?
Well, I mean, just, you know, maybe I didn't understand, you know, Jerry last time, or maybe things have changed, but like, you know, like, I mean, last winter, Jerry was on vacation, which is fine, but we got Mike plowing the streets and stuff, like, it feels like there's enough work for another full-time employee. This seems like a, you know, like, I'm all for supporting local business, but I mean, at the same time, I want to support like a, you know, a local employee and, you know, make sure that they got a good, you know, career here and are getting those long-term benefits and, you know, are actually helping, so.
I agree, but how many snowstorms did we have in that 5 months that we'd be having this full-time employee?
But
How many times are you gonna?
but that's saying that they would only work when there was a snowstorm.
Well, that's what everybody's, what I'm hearing is the justification for the other 5 months is snow plowing. That's
Okay.
what's been presented.
I'll simplify this. Between Mike and Jerry, do you guys have enough work over the winter months for another full staff employee?
Absolutely. I can guarantee you out of those 5 months to have another person that would work alongside our park maintenance and our conservancies. Opening up our trails, adding more trails, you can't have one person working with a chainsaw, so. To pull someone else from streets or from other areas. Isn't necessarily an option. So I do think that this could be a win-win.
Bobby?
I was gonna say another point that staff made is these companies, like, they need to mow to make money, so they might mow when it doesn't necessarily need it, just so they can bill you. Or, you know, with the baseball fields, like, we can control when they need to get mowed, or the cross-country, you know, path, like, we know when they need to get mowed, so we can, there's just a little more control on some of the things that, like, we don't have to mow Raspberry Park every week, or, you know, something like that.
Well, I think
They're gonna do it just so they can bill us.
but didn't the company that we had this year not mow every week because of the drought? Didn't they? Isn't that's kind of.
Jerry wants to comment.
Yeah, but let me just add,
Yeah.
isn't that the case? That's what we were told, that they were gonna go to every 3 weeks? Was that not true, Jerry?
They did go for a short period of time until it started raining, then it was back to the following week. It placed a lot of extra headaches on both Mike and I during that time period, because we were getting constantly harassed by the contractor wanting, you know, when he could mow. Can I do this instead and still charge you, yada, yada. He was counting on his weekly income, and, yeah, he didn't get it. But it was excellent. The reason I brought up snow plowing, for this individual is I anticipate that's all that I would be able to use the individual for. Dane's, the park maintenance head, his list is as long or longer than Public Works, in arrears. Things that need done, maintenance that needs done. I anticipated, unless there was a snowstorm, that I would steal, and actually I already steal Dane, so I just steal the boat. Other than that, they would be full-time on parks.
Gain for employees.
One thing.
Go ahead, sir.
I was thinking about how when you were talking about looking for areas where we could reduce our mowing, I feel like if we had in-house, we would have more opportunity to do that. While you're working, you can make adjustments much easier.
Yeah, I mean, they're giving us proposals. I think what you're getting at is they're giving us proposals based on those costs. Now, we could always go and revamp that. It's not necessarily a favorable discussion that you're having with the current contractor. We've had a couple of those already. We've had actually adding them.
My suggestion is a long-term solution. I'm not looking to do this
next year.
Yeah, I'm looking at, I think your committee should be looking at it because they're doing it all over the country. The costs are, they're converting parkland that just gets mowed to be mowed into this no mow grass, and you don't have to put herbicide, you don't have to use fertilizer, there's no weeds because it grows and then falls over. Golf courses all over the world are using it as for the rough, because they don't want the cost of mowing and fertilizer and all that. I mean, it's just what's happening to help reduce costs. And I just think there's plenty of areas in this village, I think we could do that to help reduce not only the cost, but also the carbon footprint.
Well, but again, I think that touches on why it might be helpful to have the in-house, because while I think those ideas are great, you also are dealing with controlling invasives, and there's upkeep to those areas too.
Yeah.
I mean, they see.
I agree with you. There's that, I mean, if you look at.
I'll have to pull the same article that I gave the creek crossing, Parises.
I don't disagree with your concept. I will say that there's
a lot more manual labor though, in labor intensive.
I don't think you know what the
One second.
Okay.
Within, because the areas that you are talking about are actually water retention areas, therefore seeds from other invasives are making their way into those areas. I mean, if you go down to Mill Creek Parkway, you think that they just look that way because they look that way with the grasses or even with a bunch of the cattails that are up. There's a lot of maintenance being done on those.
I think you need to do research. Eco lawn and no mow, not no mow May. There are no weeds. It's grass.
Okay,
It is just grass.
I think that would be tangential to this. I mean.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I just wanted to make sure that wasn't in part of what I was proposing as in discussion. Doug,
So Jerry, how many years have we contracted for mowing in your 30 years?
Two-ish.
And of those 22 years, how many would you say are satisfactory, or was it benefit to the taxpayer to subcontract?
I would say all of them would burn work.
And it sounds like this last contractor wasn't the greatest contractor. That's the first I've heard this. Just bugging you for wanting to mow, or did I not hear something right? Like, the one we used last summer didn't sound like maybe the last contractor. That's part of it.
I wouldn't put words in my mouth and say that.
Well, I'm just trying to listen. I'm just trying to. I want to confirm that. So.
Vern was real accommodating to skipping mowings or whatever. This contractor was not.
Right, and that's all I'm asking. I want to make a good long-term decision. If there's a benefit to in-house, I think that might take some more time. Like, I think if this gentleman is in town, can provide the services we asked for, took a walk. I think that's probably the best solution for this year.
We can tell them, we'll call you when we need you, you don't have to call us, but it doesn't have to call Jerry all the time.
I personally think it would be much more like Vernon, or much more like Lawrence Limited, because that's how it seems to be going in this business.
Cody,
Do we know how many employees the Richmond has? Is it,
thought it was,
it's looking like it's just him.
no, I thought it was three.
I thought three.
Yeah, I thought he had put that in there, I thought.
My computer just died, but I thought 3 and adjusted their equipment.
Yeah, was that part of the quote, how many employees they had? Yes, what I thought.
Can they? You all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my.
Yeah, that's why I saw that. Well, I think there's, I'm gonna need a little bit more time because we just got this sheet, so I wanna.
Well, I knew you're not making.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda, do the action.
Actually, I haven't kind of word, so.
If it was, if we were to go with it in-house, is that something you feel could be a turnkey operation by April, May?
Go ahead.
How did you guys compute the yearly cost for like the Coyote mower, the trimmer, the blower, the trailer? It's just a
Village does a 10-year note on $21,100 at 5%.
Okay, so
$748 a year. $229 a month.
okay, so you just said it's a 10-year borrow, but
There'll be a trade-in in there most likely.
well, that's what I'm asking. Like,
But that's
What are we trading in?
well, they're in 10 years of that note,
Like,
there'll be a trade-in in that more.
Oh.
see, that's what I'm asking how we did it, because I was like, Janice, this is how did you like?
It's the only way to do an apples to apples, I thought. I don't.
Okay, I see what.
See, I'm trying to figure out more of a, right, like, how do you amortize the cost of a mower? You know, because this isn't, it's gonna last for 10 years, like we were saying, there's gonna be a trade-in, so that costs. I mean, what did you price that mower at?
It's 21,100 for the mower.
Oh,
trimmers,
okay, that was
the blower, and the trailer.
It was poor.
$16,000 for the mower.
Okay, that's.
Where'd you get that? Cause I got, Well,
Not through the state bid.
okay.
However, they will not have that unit as a state bid, so we'd have to find two other units close.
Well, I thought Skag was what we were going for. In Middleton, Power Center, they have government
We demoed
pricing.
this unit and
You what?
we demoed this unit. We had a new unit, so.
And what is it?
It's called a Coyote.
Are those,
So it's like, it's a decent.
Go ahead, Jerry. Is that?
Originally, when you started this whole thing with that email, I replied with a Skaggs cheetah mower.
Yeah.
That was what I got for recommendation from a local contractor. At that time, Kelchers did not have a product of a commercial grade to compare to. The brand they sell is called Coyote.
Yeah.
They now have a commercial mower. Just came out within the last 6 weeks. This is their first one, they're demoing it, we demoed it. It is slightly higher priced, but about $4,000, if memory serves me.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's exactly right.
But the machine weighs twice as much, which means it's built much heavier. It has a diesel engine that uses approximately 1/4 the volume of fuel. And it's got some other features that the Skaggs Cheetah doesn't have. We tried it out on some hillsides, in the ditch of the Bear Park. That our current contractor who drives Skaggs Cheetahs cannot mow with those mowers, and this one would mow it. Because of the extra. So, I went to Kelchers Implement. They now have this mower available, they sell trailers, they sell weed whackers, and they sell blowers. So I got a total package price from an in-town supplier. And at this point in time, we're not going to purchase it, these are for budgetary numbers, so I thought that was the best way to go.
All right.
could that piece of equipment be used for other things within the village as well?
What's that?
Could that piece of equipment be used
No,
for other,
so
it's
there's
strictly more?
one more, all it does is mower.
Any other questions?
Does he still have 3 pistol? He needs some, right?
When it comes time to
Right.
purchase, if you decide to go that route, we will get all the numbers that the new policy requires and amend the box. I have never in 30 years gotten 3 prices for a budget period. After a while, vendors don't give a shit if they talk to you, but all the time, so.
If you have questions about the part I gave tonight, send an email, or if you need to read out some numbers, let me know. Dave's usually good at looking through numbers, monthly numbers, so that's good. Obviously, what I was hoping for was an apples to apples, the best we could do.
No, I'm with you on that. I just,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted
I
to
get
know
what
you
you're
got
saying.
that.
When it-
Clear the thing.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how I should do it,
Right.
you know.
it's just a lot of times, people figure out salaries, they leave out a lot of things like retirement and.
Kept all that, we did all that.
Yeah, no, Bobby knows what I'm talking, because I'm
Yeah.
doing it with another group that they think it's only this amount, but it certainly adds up when you add things up, so.
Sorry, I didn't get.
No, that's fine.
Info to you.
We're not voting on anything right now, so this is very helpful, and now I understand where some of the numbers are coming from. All right, any other questions? I'm sorry. The numbers are going through my hat.
Slide the typewriter over, Jake.
No, that would be a calculator.
Pretty good, boy.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, no, we have future agenda items. Anything? There's gonna be stuff coming from committees for sure. All right, and just so you know, October is the big budget one. We will have all the numbers from the state, the goals on how much we spend, what it means, and all that good stuff for October. So that'll be a pretty detailed, big discussion, and this all kind of comes together.
Do we want to consider trying to shoot for 2 meetings that month or something because of it, or trying to get the one we have earlier, any of that stuff?
My suggestion would be that we keep the October. If we're gonna have a second meeting, it should be the first week of November. In November, because that's when we actually, in the November meeting, we do everything, but I agree with you, it could be a long night. It would be helpful to do it in November, because there's one, I won't have a solid number until November 2nd, and it's a big, important number.
What number?
Talking a lot, I don't want, it's EMS.
Oh,
There's huge increases coming down on that. I am going to do my best to try to reduce that. I won't know for sure until November 2nd. I'm not very optimistic, to be honest with you. But I'm gonna have to try. It's gonna have a huge impact on us. So my suggestion would be, if we do a second meeting, let's do it in November. Bobby, you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you go back to department head, discussion or anything that we need to bring?
Yeah, go ahead. Do it under future agenda item. Go ahead.
I just want to know that Parks and Recreation Committee, move forward with some solar lighting, to go out on the boardwalk, so staff would get in. We went with, one of the good products, one of the best reviewed products that we could find on, Amazon to start, just to see how it would work out and where they could be located at, so we'll be getting those out, the next week or so, hopefully. And then our, filters have run in at the pool, so we finally, constructed, really opened up a lot of the area inside the pump room, which was nice. Obviously with the rating pool being later than the one the county, we were able to take out a lot of the stuff on the waiting pool side. And so we actually had them take off the iron and move the current acid barrel into the waiting pool area and then pipe over everything so we can separate the acid from going areas for the next week. So,
Oh, good.
So far looks nice. They use instead of using sand media for this filter, they're using glass, which is.
They had tons of bags.
Did you see all of them?
Oh, yeah, I walked by there all the time. I was watching
A lot
that.
of glass.
Oh,
Glass.
I walked right there.
Water. But it's a lot, and it never has to be taken out and re-add. So
They had pallet after pallet of bags. Yeah, it was pretty interesting to watch.
And then I guess in October, my plan was to bring the full feasibility, the current conditions report and conceptual design options to you. I don't know if that's the greatest idea with the budget coming.
I would prefer not October.
Yeah.
I really,
So maybe we'll do that in December,
or November.
I think November.
Yeah, because November
The
should.
second reading should go pretty quick. Usually.
Yes, the regular meeting, if we have, that's just kind of approving everything we've already preliminary approved, so November would be the good one to do it.
November would be good.
Yeah, the October one, I am gonna try to reduce as much. We've got some major decisions to do.
Okay.
It's,
Sounds good. It's ready, so at least it'll be ready in November, so.
yeah, that would be great. Anything else?
Are we on point for Brewery Street in the bridge?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, they've got the blacktop on the trail already done, and I don't know if the upper part of the road looks done to me.
That looked like it.
Yeah, I know,
What about the bridge?
well, the bridge, they got the cranes in there now. That slowed down a couple weeks because our famous cable company didn't get their work done.
They poured the deck for the bridge.
Oh, they did? Perfect.
Drury Road should have, well, depending on the rain, sometime this week, we should get the rest of the binder And then, the regular contractor will be back, start wrapping up details, finish the seating. On the west side of Iowa. About 3 weeks-ish. We'll be back to what's certain, so.
Looks nice.
Looks like a nightmare to follow.
The Evan Crowell Memorial Cross Country Meet is Saturday at Bear Park, so
Oh, perfect.
see you all there.
It's opening duck season. Saturday.
All
right, I got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Thank you. Or say Sarah.
All right.
Yes, one.